All right, what's up, everybody? We are live. It is session 13, part 2 of the session, The Blood That Binds Us. We didn't get quite as far as I hoped to, so we're going to continue on with that title name, aka I couldn't think of a clever second title name for this session, so part 2 always gets the job done when that's going down. But previously on Storm King's Thunder, Sunlit and the party stand in the streets of Bryn Shanders. It's a tense moment where Warrendell and her are having another standoff. And it's at this point that Sunlit sees a soaring boulder, a giant rock coming from behind the party. She jumps in the way and pushes them out. We kind of flash now and we see more boulders flying through the skies, these icy-like meteors that are smashing through the city of Bryn. We hear screams and chaos of panic, people dying, buildings being destroyed. We see Warrendell briefly levitating with powerful arcane energy streaking out from him as he smashes together his hands, shattering this boulder that's just about to hit the group into debris, just kind of shattering around them and blowing through. Like this stick of dynamite just went off right beside them, shrapnel of rock and ice. We see the party standing on the tower of Bryn Shanders, 3 frost giants smashing into the gates, with 2 grizzly bear-sized wolves standing at the gates waiting, demanding for Artis Cimber. We see the tower falling to the ground as Octavius and Livy are thrown below to the icy fangs of these winter wolves. Kind of passing through more, we see the tough decision that Warrendell makes, blowing open the gate and allowing the giants in and subsiding the rock storms that the surrounding giants are doing. It's at this point the party chases after them into town, and we see Belladora from the alleyway telling the party that to follow her. The party runs through the alleyway as Dufree, the giant leader, chases after them. We see them going through a house and setting up this ambush. We see crossbows shooting bolts into the giants, and Belladora and Rain or Sunlit jumping off the roof, and this ambush going off. The party fighting as hard as they can, but still getting their butts whooped. It takes pretty much everything they had to just defeat this giant, but Dufree gets stabbed in the foot by Livy, and then with a final powerful, exhausting firebolt from Warrendell, Dufree is taken down, and the party, deeply exhausted, falls to the ground but celebrates their victory. But that is wiped away in moments as another frost giant, Frostneck, comes and approaches upon them. And it's the last scene that we see in this recap. Cyric standing up and saying that enough is enough. This is because of his father's blood. This is because of his blood that the giants are doing this. He tells the group that he's going to lead the giants away. He's going to buy them time. Livy protests, Duvessa protests, but he's firm in the decision, and you guys aren't left with much choice. So the last thing we see is the frost giant sweeping up Cyric, son of Artis Cimber, and walking through the busted, smoking, fiery, icy streets of Bryn Shanders into the distance. We see Octavios laying on the ground unconscious, being smashed by Dufree before the battle ended. And it's at this point that we pick up the session. You guys look towards Octavius. You guys tried to perform some medicine checks, but we all know how that went. I don't think anyone between the 4 medicine checks rolled higher than a 5. So Octavius is broken and bleeding out on the streets. Belladora says we need to get him to the church, the House of Triads. The priest there will be able to heal him. What do you guys do?
Goes and lends a hand to pick him up and get him going. With their grand total of 8 strength.
8 strength is probably not enough to move Octavios in his big, heavy-ass chainmail. If he gets a hand from somebody else, it will be pretty much, you don't have to try. But if you want to just do it by yourself as the 2 other party members stand by. Belladora is badly injured. She looks like she has a broken arm. She can't do it. Is anybody else going to volunteer?
He's unconscious, right?
Just for laughs and giggles.
We see Livy go over. I got him. And he pulls at him, but she just ends up falling in the snow. She can't move Octavios. He's wearing this big chainmail armor, I believe. And he's also he's a full-grown male anyways. So Livy, this probably like 110-pound girl, not able to move. We have Warndell, sunlit, and kind of standing around. What are you guys doing?
Sunny certainly giggles at Livy, and she helps her up and says, I'll get the heavy end. You grab the legs, okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. And with that, no more check is needed. Sunlit is a strong tabaxi, and between the two of you, you're able to, probably a bit awkwardly due to how exhausted you are, you just fought 2 frost giants and 2 winter wolves. You're exhausted, but between the two of you, you can carry Octavios. What's Warndell doing in this? You just sent off pretty much what I picture being like the last bit of arcane energy that you could summon to finish off Dufree. How's Warndell doing?
Not good. Yeah, that would have been everything he pretty much had. I believe at the end of the last game, he was down on the ground. Pretty much just wiped out clean. So if you guys are picking up Octavius, he'd lift himself up as well and just scuff his feet along behind you, trying to get himself where it is you're going as well. If Belladora's right there, he'll at least offer her a hand to get up, and maybe the two of them can kind of help each other.
Big crossbow. You see that her one arm's kind of dangling in front of her. Definitely from that stunt that she pulled, jamming her heavy crossbow into the ground, and then with this rope connected to the bolt and kind of flinging herself to the giant, and then getting beat down by her. You definitely know that she's broken an arm of some sort. She's going to need some attention too. But if you kind of walk over to her limping, she picks herself up with the crossbow and kind of like laughs at the circumstance that you guys are in. But then kind of grabs onto your shoulder, and you kind of support each other and start to walk through the streets. Who else we have is, I believe, Devessa is with you, the town speaker. Mm-hmm. She is by no means a fighter of any kind. She's just literally this political figure, and she's just kind of shell-shocked. She had a dagger out like she was ready to fight, but as you look over to her, she's still just shaking, standing there dumbfounded, looking at this dead giant laying in the street, and she's holding the dagger, just shaking, maybe from cold, probably from fear. Markham, the town sheriff, goes up to her, and Devessa, you need to focus. We need to get to the church. We need to see. We need to figure out the casualties. We need to figure out what's going on. Snap back to it. She kind of comes to, and you guys carry off through the snowy streets. As you're walking down this main strip towards the House of the Triad, you see absolute devastation that the Frost Giants brought. This whole event happened in maybe the span of 10, 15 minutes. But as you look around Bryn Shanders, this once kind of beautiful but snowy city, this icy city on top of this mountaintop, and now just buildings are toppled, rocks the size of half a story high, if not bigger, of just ramshackled through many of these buildings. You look around and there's bodies laying on the streets, there's fires burning, there's smoke, there's cries, there's screams, there's people trying to pick people up and help each other. It's just absolute anarchy or chaos in the streets. You're carrying Octavius through the streets, kind of struggling to do so. You kick open the door of the House of Triad, which is still, for the most part, intact. There was no, due to you guys letting the giants in and subsiding the rock barrage, the other calling off the rock barrage by letting them in, the town is in much better shape than it would have been if you would have let the giants continue to bombard the city. So luckily, the House of the Triad is still intact. You kind of push your way through, and Delvon, the priest that is kind of running the place, pokes his head up and, "Is it over?"
For now.
For now.
And, "Is it safe for me to come out?" He just looks completely terrified. Him too. You guys are these kind of seasoned adventurers. People like Delvon and people like Devessa are not cut out for this kind of stuff. You can tell that he's shell shocked, and he maybe doesn't even really realize where he is. He's kind of hiding under one of the pews in the church. Your friend Octavios, bleeding on the ground, needs attention, and he doesn't even seem to be aware of this.
Oh. I want to say that Livy's like in a similar kind of state, like of her perkiness that usually shines through. This is definitely more of this foggy, as she's just, I don't know, she's probably just fiddling over Tavius, just doing what she can and talking to him as though it's like, wake up, wake up, wake up. Be like, okay, come back. Like, you can't be gone, you can't be gone, you can't be gone, you can't be gone. And yeah.
Absolutely. What about Warrendale?
Helping Belladora in through these doors. He'll set her aside as well. If there's anybody around, he'll be waving them over to check on Octavius.
All right. Give me a check. Let's say persuasion, or if you want to do something else, intimidation maybe, to basically get Delvon to like snap out of this. You know that he's the kind of priest of this temple. If anyone's going to be able to help him out, it will be him. But he's just kind of, I don't think I'm going to come out. What if they start throwing the boulders again?
They're not going to throw no more boulders. We killed them already.
I'll start throwing boulders if you don't come help my friend.
Exactly. She's going to be throwing boulders.
All right, give me a check. Give me a check, whatever you want. Roll it in the fantasy grounds and let me know. Or I guess I'll see.
Can that be assisted if Olivia shouts that?
Yeah, absolutely. At advantage.
Awesome. You're welcome.
I'll just do persuasion. I'm not very persuasive.
Roll again. It's at advantage.
All right. Well, he wasn't persuasive, and he'll just intimidate him then.
All right. So yeah, you try to be nice and be like, come on, like get your stuff together, but then you realize that it's not working, so then you just yell at him and say that you're gonna start throwing boulders if he doesn't get his shit together. So oh sorry, I didn't realize. Here, bring him over onto the altar.
Help!
You kind of carry him through. You see that a couple of the benches are like flipped up from people kind of panicking and whatnot. Most of the other kind of like altar people or priests and whatnot are not in sight, so you don't know if they left, fled to their families, or hiding. It's just Delvon in here now in this giant temple. You place Octavios on the altar, and Delvon just kind of he blows into his hands and kind of gets ready. Concentrate, and then he does a prayer to his god, and will heal Octavios for actually a decent amount, 10 hit points. Octavios, the last thing you remember is, I believe, Livy got knocked unconscious, and you went over and healed her, bringing her back to consciousness, and you look up, and you've seen that Dufree was charging forward. You kind of threw Livy to the side and took the attack head on and got smashed through the streets. You now kind of deeply exhale, coming back to consciousness. As you look around, you see your friends beaten and exhausted, and the face of Delvon, and you look around and see the familiar church of the House of Shiad.
Octavius will, probably it'll take a few seconds for his eyes to adjust and his brain to adjust to what's going on. And he'll look at his friends, and he'll reach out, and he'll notice hopefully Livy's doing a little bit better, and he'll realize that Sonny's okay, and he'll look at Warren, and he'll see some blood dripping down his nose still. And Octavius's first reaction as he wakes up is to heal his friend Warren. So he'll lift his hand, and he'll actually cast Lesser Restoration on Warrendale.
Perfect.
First thing.
All right, now Lesser Restoration is like a status effect kind of thing. Do you want to actually heal him, or do you just want to cast Lesser Restoration?
I think it's still kind of in and out of it. Octavius is just looking to try to help. That's the first thing he'll cast, even if it doesn't have much effect at all.
Yeah. So what it will do is that exhaustion, that kind of mental drain, or I guess we'll say even like the kind of effect that tapping into the weave where you pull your arcane energy from, it kind of lessens that exhaustive feeling. It's not necessarily mental, it's something else that us in the real world probably wouldn't understand. But basically you feel that kind of exhaustion of tapping into basically the brink of your ability to defend against these giants. You feel as he casts Restoration on you, that bit of exhaustion kind of fade away a bit.
So like Tavius to do that.
What happened? What happened?
Saved my life for one.
We killed them. Well, one of them, two of them. One got away.
Where is Simber's son?
Belladora stands up and says, "The giants, they got him. Stupid kid."
He went with them.
And with that, I think we just try to start getting up.
Delvon kind of, don't. You clearly have some broken ribs. I know you're
That's
probably
okay.
worried about the boy, and so am I, but rest a little bit. At least let me do some more healing before I couldn't let you go in a state like this.
We must help him.
There's nothing we can do right now. It was his choice.
Belladora kind of pipes up. I didn't think the kid had guts like that. Kind of shocking, don't you think?
He definitely gets it from his father.
Yeah, maybe so. Markham comes up. I agree with Delvon there. You guys have done enough. You almost risked your lives for the city. You need to rest for a bit. I'll go out. I'll find Ulgrich, and we'll see how many guards are left. We'll start doing a casualty report, seeing what's going on. You guys rest here for a bit. We'll come back and discuss what we're going to do from there. Even if you want to save this Sierra kid, you're no good to him if you die. And you guys are all on the brink of that.
Can I help? At least with the numbers or whatever.
You can come for a walk with me if you want, but I promise you it's not going to be a pretty sight.
I know.
And then, yeah, if go ahead.
Olivia, I can't be in here with like this. I'd like to tag along.
Very well. We'll take the both of you. I guess we'll need all the extra hands we can get. It's not going to be easy getting all the guards together. Not even sure how many made it. Are you guys good to walk?
Totally. I just carried a body in, so.
Well, Octavius is having a hard time.
Face. That's
He
all.
wants to join. If they're going to help other people, Octavius is doing his best to try to get off.
We would probably just like give a very like stern, just like, you have broken bones. Lay down. Then
Okay.
like start marching out the door.
I'm going to need you to roll a disobey mom at disadvantage. No, just kidding. I imagine you don't fight that. Octavius, you absolutely, every part of you wants to go and help. But as you even try to lift, you just feel the ribs broken. And you know that it's going to take a little bit of healing to kind of undo that damage. And you have your good buddy Warrendale here to keep you company, who also looks like he's pretty much in equally bad shape as you. Belladora says, I'll hang out with the boys. I got banged up pretty bad too. And Duvessa also says she'll stay. She'll help Dilvon do what she can. She'll mention that she felt so useless in the fight. At least now the least she can do is help you guys get back to health, be useful in some way. And with that, you guys, Sunlit and Livy, carry out into the streets. And the sight that you see is definitely an unpleasant one at that. It seems like just a few minutes ago, and it actually was just like less than a couple of hours ago, that you guys were playing in the snow. throwing snowballs, kind of making like snow angels or whatever you guys were doing, having a good time. And now as you look at the streets, it seems almost like an alternate reality where something like that could have happened in this city. There's many buildings just wrecked, beautiful old standing buildings that have probably been there since the building of this town now lay in ruins. You see entire like heaps of people laying in the snow, just a bloody mess from being bowled over by these giant size, like 2-ton rocks. You hear people crying, still panicking. Markham walks through the street, and it's not long before he tracks down Ogric, and she looks beat up too. And he would approach her and just, Ogric, you're alive. And she, yes, I'm alive, Markham. You are too. I'm very happy to. We tried to hold them off on the tower, the north gate. They were throwing boulders. Me and the men, we fired back volleys, but they just wouldn't stop throwing the rocks. It was terrible. And she starts to cry. Markham kind of approaches up to her, puts a hand on her shoulder, and you did well, Ogric. We held them off, and they're gone now. We need to focus. We need to gather the rest of the guards. We need to send them out into the city and gather up all the people. Send them to the town hall. Any survivors, we'll meet there, and we'll discuss rebuilding and where to go from there. And as you guys kind of do that, what do you guys want to do for your part to kind of help out with this? As basically the next couple of hours are going to be spent going through the town and helping who you can. But I can assure you that what you see is a very unpleasant sight. Just to think that these giants would come and do this to a city for just one man, a man that's not even there. Just like what bloodlust, what kind of creature would do this to so many innocent people? Just a horrible sight to take in as you guys walk around and help who you can. What do you guys want to do as you're doing so?
Livy would have asked like what section is needed, like assuming that someone who is already kind of coordinating it and knows that there needs to be extra hands over in whichever sector of the city get sent there. In my head, like if she sees any survivors, it's trying to direct them, like we're gathering in the community center or whatever the gathering point was determined, helping with bodies, trying to comfort where she can give whatever comfort that is even possible, because she's just dying inside, and let alone just I feel like from Nightshade, like she experienced this, but like it was immediately whisked off into the cave as a hostage, and so it didn't really get to this aftermath quite. And
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
this is just really just gut-wrenching, little just that flashback, and so, but that's initially my thought.
Yeah. So you absolutely go around and do what you can, trying to keep yourself together, seeing families just literally torn apart, kids orphaned in minutes, worse circumstances than that, but you hold it together to not show, to just be that kind of positivity for the people that obviously need it right now, and you kind of show them off to the town hall. You're able to find maybe like 15 people and walk them to the streets over the hours, which is a pretty shocking number because this is like a town of maybe 20,000 people. So obviously you're one person, but 15 is what you find in a street in a city that should be bustling. What about Sunlit? You got any special plans, or are you just kind of following along doing the same thing?
Yeah, she's following along. But she's starting to recognize where she was. And it's where Belladora took her on her walk. To kind of, drive the point home of maybe the alcohol and the dependency it looks as if she's creating towards that, it's probably not the best idea. And she starts having compassion for those people, and she wants to help, the people that are addicted and so on and so forth that she saw and was shown, and that's where she'd be focusing her attention is towards those people.
Absolutely. And you're able to find some, and they're obviously in rough conditions. It's kind of actually even more eye-opening for you now because you see some of these people, and some of them are so out of it and so like kind of even drunk or inebriated on whatever their fix is that they don't even necessarily realize what has happened. You see one man who's clearly hopped up on something sitting next to a boulder, and what you would assume is a compatriot of some kind is toppled underneath of it, smashed, and he's just kind of sitting there out of it, doesn't even really seem to know what's going on. He's actually holding this person's hand, and it takes you a while to like get him up and out, and just he doesn't necessarily seem to understand, but you pry him away from this hand that's clearly been crushed underneath this boulder, and you carry him or lead him to the town hall along with a couple of other survivors. And it's probably even more eye-opening for you, Sunlit, just to see like these people in this kind of horrifying stance. A lot of them don't even necessarily seem to grasp the severity of it.
Yeah, it's certainly compounding for her. She didn't realize how bad things could become, certainly.
Absolutely. And as a couple hours go by, everyone can take a short rest. So you can roll up some hit dice and get yourself back up. Delvon will cast on you, Octavios, a restoration spell of his own to kind of cure the broken bones. Takes a while for him to do so because there's so many of them. But you essentially, after a couple hours, through magical healing and prayer, are as good as your hit dice can bring you. And it's after that moment that Belladora kind of rests up too, and she heads out and just kind of looks at you guys and says, "So I guess everyone's meeting up at the town hall. I got something to do. I'll be real quick, but I'll be there. You guys too?" Looks to you, Warrendale.
Yes. Yes.
All right. Well, see you there. You guys did good today. Not gonna lie, it was a bit of a shit show, but we survived. I guess that's all that matters. And she'll kind of push out the temple and head into the streets. You and Octavios and Duvessa and I guess that's it, Delvon, are left kind of sitting in the temple. And Duvessa says that we'll need to get to the town hall and hold a meeting, see how many survivors we have, and figure out a course of action. The fact that the giants could come back, the fact that Cyric inevitably gave his life, I don't know, so much. We'll have to send Raven to the 10 towns. Maybe they can help us now. And she'll look to, like, once you guys are rested and ready to go, to head out to the town hall with her. To which Sunlit and Livy, you guys would end up there also after kind of doing your reconsolidation. So do you? I'm assuming you guys follow, unless you have anything else you want to do at the temple. Either one of you.
I'd help Octavius get up and around, and unless he has something else to do, I'd head on down to the town hall.
Yeah, no, you'd notice that Octavius is pretty sullen, quiet, oddly quiet at this point. You know that he likes to talk and things like that, but he's definitely more sullen and basically caught in inner thought at this point. But he will follow you to the community center.
Absolutely. All right, so let's bring you there, and basically you're brought to the town hall, which is the largest building in the center square of Bryn Shanders. A rock is actually bowled through one of the sides of the walls, but it's so big that it didn't topple the structure of this building. And you can see that several dozen survivors have currently, with rope and kind of pushing the rock back out of the town hall. You see that a bunch of people are here now. A city of, what did I say, 20,000? You would see at this point kind of thousands of people. Luckily, obviously, the devastation wasn't so great to eradicate the city, but probably a pretty frightening amount of people are not here, and there is too many people to actually all get into the town hall. So you see that a lot of people are gathered around the kind of iron sconces that have flames lit in the streets, and it's just really kind of packed. A lot of people are gathering. They're afraid. They want to know what's going on. They're waiting for Duvessa. People start to crowd her instantly, like a flock, and just ask her, like, "Are we going to be all right, Duvessa?" And you can just instantly see that she gets pretty much overwhelmed. Markham kind of steps in and kind of backs people off and kind of pushes through this massive crowd. You hear people crying and like, "Why did the giants attack us? Are they coming back?" Just an eruption of like people wanting answers. What's next? You kind of caught in this because you're with Duvessa at the time, Octavius and Warren. You're probably shoved aside a bit, but you try your best to like push through the crowd. She says that she wants you in the town hall to talk, and you guys make your way through this massive building. You feel the icy kind of snow drift. This wind whips through this building, which once would have been kind of insulated and warm, but now that there's a giant hole from the boulder, the wind and snow kind of whips into it, and you would see that a lot of people are already in here eating. There's lineups and people busy making food for those who need it, and just trying to basically bounce back from this attack. You guys are brought through all this kind of crowd. You're fed if you need to be fed. You're giving kind of, you guys
baking.
You're going to be baking?
She is like busy work right now.
Yeah.
Anything just keep her busy and not think.
Absolutely. So after a while, though, they would bring you into this kind of, they would say that they need your, they're having a meeting, a couple of the important figures in town, and would ask that you show up, Livy. So after you kind of been feeding people for a while, if you would agree to it, they would wish to bring you to a kind of private room where they can discuss what's going on.
Everything so covered here, or yeah, I can come. Especially if she like notices her party members going too. It's like I'm coming.
All right. So yeah, you're brought into the room. It's this long kind of wooden table. You see a couple of wolf heads plastered on the wall, these trophies. You see this bright kind of long crystal chandelier sitting above with dim candle lights kind of lighting the table. This table is about 20 chairs long, and sitting at the head of it now is Duvessa, Markham and Ogric sitting to her right. You see a couple of other figures that you don't necessarily know who they are, but would understand that they're probably important figures around the city. You see Octavius, you see Warren, Sunlit, you would be there. And you'd see Cyric and Belladora also sitting down. And yeah, they would.
Cyric.
Yes, or not Cyric, sorry. Sir Barrick.
Sir Barrick, okay.
My bad. Yes, Sir Barrick.
I'm just going like, he's back. Awesome.
Yeah. Problem solved. We don't need to do anything. He magically found his way back. Now, Cyric and Sir Barrick are unfortunately very close, apparently. But yeah, Sir Barrick, you met him. He was a knight of Tyr that was in the in the bar. So yeah, he's sitting there too. His big kind of curly mustache. They would sit you guys down, and Duvessa would kind of stand up, clear her throat. Thank you guys for being here. With the numbers that we lost, it's kind of a makeshift committee right now. But since you guys helped us defend the city and we are literally in your debt, I don't really know who else that we should talk to this about. We know from what Cyric did that he has bought us time, but we also know that he doesn't know where Artis is, so it's only a matter of time before the giants figure that out. The guards counted 9 around the perimeter, and 1 from the fight that we left means that there's 10 frost giants, at least. I don't know if we can handle another attack like that. I propose sending out as many ravens as we can to the surrounding 10 towns and seeing what forces that they can spare to send to us. We need to rebuild what we can, and we need to bunker down and just prepare and hope that the forces kind of make it in time before the giants come back. Markham would stand up, and he has a very grim look on his face. I agree with Devessa. I know that it ain't easy knowing what that kid did, but he's as good as gone. There ain't nothing that any of us can do against 10 frost giants. So we need to buckle down here, and we need to hope that what he did isn't in vain. What do you guys do or say?
How long would it take for ravens to get to the other towns? How long, if they did respond positively, would it take for them to arrive? Like, is this a matter of
The 10 towns are scattered throughout the Icewind Dales, some farther than others. Permitting that they did respond well, we would expect maybe a week or more before forces started showing up. Maybe a couple days sooner. I know that there's been a lot of talk of these giants kind of storming all over Faerun, so I fear that by hearing that one of the bigger cities of the 10 towns has been attacked, they might be worried about their own, but maybe if they hear from me, that maybe they'll send what they can.
Do you even know if they've been affected by these giants?
We don't know yet. We've heard that there's been attacks in Fireshare, which is very close to here. A couple days. We don't know how far the giants have spread. Ogric, the female dwarf and the kind of deputy, would stand up, and she would kind of clear her throat also. And not to interrupt, but I have cousins in Ironmaster. My cousin Gert. I know that the Ironmaster dwarves they kind of stick to themselves, but Gert he's an important figure in Ironmaster, and maybe if I go there, I can convince him to send some of the dwarves our way. They're very tough, just like me. I know that if I can convince him, or if I can get Gwert to talk to the higher ups in Ironmaster, maybe we can get some defense from there. That's only about a 4 or 5 day journey. To which Markham would kind of stand up and say, I appreciate the thought, Ogric, but we know that the Ironmaster dwarves they don't really leave there too often, and they only worry about themselves, dwarf kind. I know you have a kind heart, but we haven't really had much dealing with them, and I highly doubt that they're going to leave their fortified settlement to come and help us. I need you here in Bryn. You're my deputy. You're the most important person to me right now. She kind of blushes as he says this, because she has kind of feelings for him. I appreciate the thought, but I don't think Ironmaster is going to help us. To which she sits down, blushing and kind of hiding, just sits back down, kind of looks down. What's Octavius have to say during this?
Octavius is really just kind of listening intently. Still has his head down. He's still kind of staying quiet, but I think at one point he would stand up and say, I feel like this is almost a moot point. If these giants wanted to come back, I don't think anything's going to stop them. With Cyric being gone now, they have no reason to come back. They know that the stone that they were following was attached to his bloodline, and without that bloodline being in this town, they have no reason to attack. I feel like now is the time for either you to get your people all out of here, maybe to call these dwarves and to see if it's okay if we bring everyone there to stay in their stronghold, or at least maybe call the other towns to come here as a safe hold, because we know that there's no other reason for the giants to come back. I really feel like Cyric is of utmost importance. Maybe not only helping him, but there's a reason that the giants took him, and that reason should be found out. We should know what's going on. I really feel as if the giants decided to come back, then no amount of people or no amount of security is going to stop them from coming in.
Does anybody else have
He
anything
was
to
saying
add?
kind of like a gruff, upset attitude.
Absolutely.
I think Livy would nod along, just like I fully agree with that.
Yeah, Warren as well. It's pretty much what he was thinking.
Devesta would kind of sigh, and you heard that giant, or at least, who was it? Belladora was translating, because she speaks giant. She would say that that Froshnek did warn us that if Cyric doesn't give the answers that they want, they'd come back here and level this place to the ground. Although getting it, and then Devesta would say that Bryn Shanders is one of the most important founding cities of the 10 towns. If we abandon this, we abandon centuries of knowledge, centuries of production. Just this, you can't understand the importance that Bryn Shanders holds to the 10 towns. Even in a destroyed strait, we are probably one of the biggest of the founding 10 towns. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know. To just abandon Bryn, these thousands of people, and go out into the cold, I don't know if many would survive.
I don't think many would survive if a herd or a gang of whatever you call the frost giant groups come and level the town. It's a no-win situation.
They look like they don't know what to say. To which point, Belladora, she's actually not sitting. She's kind of standing all cocky, like at the kind of against the wall, and she kind of steps forward and says, "You know, I can't really say what I think is best for the 10 towns or business or the founding cities. The only thing that I can really think of is that young man, a priest, someone who had no right whatsoever, standing against those giants when we were doomed. He saved us. If it wasn't for that kid, that stupid kid, that giant would have smashed through all of us. We all know it. And then if he would have smashed through all of us, then they would have sounded the horn and this city would have been destroyed. Cyric is the reason that this city stands right now. Don't get me wrong. You guys played an important part in it too. But if not for him, Bryn would be something lost in a couple hundred years from now. People would forget what Bryn is in the books. So you guys worry about your city, you worry about your ravens. I know what I'm doing. I'm going out. I won't abandon that kid. He stood up for
Octavius,
us. So
I'm coming with you.
Absolutely. He kind of, that's the spirit, cleric. You're not so bad after all, I guess. Try not to get so many broken bones this time, though, if you're going to follow me. What's everybody else doing?
Livy during that little speech would have actually kind of just chuckled, just like suddenly, just kind of like as this memory of her grandpa talking about how Artis once saved his life. Just I was like, I'm gonna retire, and then something stupid happened, and Artis had done that, and just like once more, like stupid kid saved our town. It's just like, I think my grandpa used those same words against Artis, and so just like, yeah, I'm gonna come help with Sarah.
Absolutely. What's Sunlit in the Darkness doing? As you see Octavios and Livy kind of stand up with Belladora. They're going to save Cyric.
To save the boy. You're going to go save the boy.
It's more of a
Octavius would look at Gauntlet and he'd be like, "You remember how important Artis was supposed to be to what our mission was? Well, Cyric seems to be the only ties we have to him. If we were going to accomplish what we set out to do, we need the boy."
To a giant's hovel. I think this sounds like a great plan. Let's go do it.
Haha, good job.
Warrendell, the party's eyes inevitably fall on you now.
See, looks at each of you. Looks at you, Sonny, for a moment, and as you question their antics, you see a bit of a spark in his eye. Maybe you've come around to his way of thinking that maybe you shouldn't involve yourself in all this. And then his face droops a little bit as you totally agree to go with him. I ain't got too much choice. I need to keep you guys safe one way or another, I suppose.
Well, Belladora kind of smiles. Looks like we're gonna go be heroes or something. This ought to be fun. And she kind of looks. Markham looks like he wants to say something, but you can already tell that he knows it's hopeless. And if you were to have a passive insight of higher than 10, you would know that he also desperately wanted to not let Cyric be sacrificed to the giants. He just kind of is bound by duty to protect the town. So you can tell that even though he kind of wants to say, like, no, you guys would be much more helpful defending with us, he's not going to fight you guys going. Sir Barrick is kind of sitting there, the Knight of Tyr, and he's kind of twirling his mustache. And he looks over and, well, if you lot are going, I guess I might as well join you as well. I know that what those giants did wasn't right to this town, and I know that evil must not be allowed to thrive in this world. Tyr is my lord, and that young priest was a servant of Tyr. Therefore, that makes him my family. We may not be blood, but justice binds us. I'll join you guys. That is, if you'll have me.
Very well.
More the merrier.
Whoa.
Huzzah.
You guys kind of form this makeshift pack now.
My ox.
To which
we are going to go tomorrow, right?
oh yes. I'm tired of shit. Belladora says, I'm not gonna lie, if I walk much further, I'm probably gonna collapse and maybe die. And then none of us are gonna get any very far. We need to buckle down, we need to rest, and we need to prepare. Let's go see if Rendell's Emporium is still standing. To which, once she says that name, you guys kind of have this click of memory, a flashback to Nightstone, where Morak thanked you guys and said that he was in your honor. He didn't really have much to offer you, but he said he gave you this note of kind of notoriety, saying that if you find yourself in Bryn Shanders, to tell, first off, Markham about his sister passing, but then as a favor of thanks, he said, go talk to Rendell and tell him that Morak sent you, and he'll try to set you up with what he can. So as Belladora says, we should go there in the morning and start preparing and supplying ourselves if we're going to be walking around in the Icewind Dales. We're going to need to be ready. This weather in Bryn is nothing compared to what we're going to face out there. So get a good long rest, all of you, and let's meet up in the marketplace at dawn tomorrow. So with that, Duvessa would thank you guys and say we will wait at least a few, like a 10-day to hear from you guys. We hope that you make it back. We're going to send ravens out to all the 10 towns, and as many ravens as we can. We may even try Ironmaster, anyone we can. And if we don't hear back within a couple of days, then we will highly consider evacuating. She thanks you again and says she doesn't necessarily have like much that she can pay you right now because there's going to be a lot of money spent rebuilding the town. But whatever you need to just like fix yourselves up with, and tell them that it's on her. So you guys can go to whatever marketplaces are standing tomorrow, and basically have a pick at stuff that you potentially want if it's survived, and get it for mostly free. And then
I think with that,
go ahead.
I think with that, Octavius would nod in acceptance and thanks, and then he'll just slowly but sullenly leave by himself, and he'll go and he'll search out the temple, and Octavius will spend the rest of the night sitting there in front of the altar of El Mature and pray.
Absolutely. What's everybody else doing?
Oh, either finding a spot where she's going to sleep and brew the rest of the night, or more likely finding a group of kids, adults, ending up telling stories until people start falling asleep wherever. It's just that's the other assumption, is that everyone's kind of probably going to try and congregate or camp out in a area since everything's just kind of rubbish.
Yeah, absolutely. No, everyone kind of gathers around the town hall now, and there's a lot of like tents and whatnot and buildings. The city has definitely kind of come together to help each other out. So there's a lot of that kind of going on in the streets, and a lot of people just instantly getting right to rebuilding and fortifying. There's guards kind of scanning the perimeter. There's a lot of civilians now that have kind of taken up to the wall to like be lookouts and make sure that the giants don't come back. So you have no problem finding people that need kind of comfort and company to ease their mind. What about Warrendell? What are you doing to kind of wind down for the night?
Seeing the other two leave, Warren stand up, head towards the door, look over at Sonny. Ah, my furry friend. Let's go have a drink, guy. It's on me. I owe you one anyway.
I think not.
I can buy you water. Let you lick the snowballs outside.
Really?
You can tell me stories of your home. I'm curious.
Really?
Certainly.
Okay. What do you want to know?
No, I don't
She-
you can tell me whatever you would like.
To say she's reluctant would be the biggest understatement ever. But she's starting to see that there's a difference in all these people that she's been with for so long. Now that she's a little bit different. Belladora,
Yes, my friend.
you're a really bad liar.
Oh, on the contrary, I'm a great liar.
No, you're not. Because anybody that knows the city as well as you obviously was some type of adventurer. So you're not a very good liar. You're a very good deceiver.
She shrugs. You think what you need to think. I'm calling it a night though. I'll see you in the morning, Sunlit. We'll talk.
Yeah. Thank you today.
The pleasure was all mine. And she kind of gives you a bow, and as she does so, she kind of grimaces at the pain and coughs up a bit of blood. And then tomorrow morning. Don't be late.
Yes.
And you see her walk off in her obnoxiously big boots that have these fur. They're just like over the top Uggs, basically. But now that you've seen her in battle, you know that there's like spikes on them that she used to kick into the giant. And definitely, you're not wrong, Sunlit, when you realize that there's more to meet the eye than this street urchin that you guys found in Bryn Shanders.
Yeah. Warrendale. To maybe we'll see if the Kelvin, whatever that place was called,
Kelvin's Comfort.
Kelvin's Kleins, or whatever it is.
They make good Yeti underwear. That's what I
Oh.
hear.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys kind of head to Kelvin Comfort and have a night of chit chat. Octavius prays and readies himself for the morning, asking probably Ilmater for the strength to endure the.
Oh no,
What do you got?
that's not what he's. Octavius is he's having an inner conflict with himself right now and with his religion. He's upset with Ilmater that relieving people's pain and helping with mercy and suffering is awesome, but it would almost, in Octavius's mind at this point, it's almost a moot point if he can't help before that happens. So he's really in conflict with his choices and with his life from when he was in a temple and helping people with their suffering to now witnessing what causes the suffering. And so all night he'll just be sitting there trying to have the inner talk with himself about that.
You're muted.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. So a little bit of conflict for Octavius's beliefs now that he's starting to be out in the world beyond the temple and seeing all the pain in the world that, like you said. So yeah, you kind of have a night of, probably for the first time ever, I imagine, Octavius questioning Ilmater and what it is to be a cleric of Ilmater.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, though, do you guys, before I long rest you, do you guys want to say anything in Calvert's Comfort? It is, there is a boulder that smashed right through the front kind of glass pane window, and the rock still sits in the bar, and snow is kind of swept in. But as you go in, you see that the bartender, what's his name? I got it right here, Ogden, is actually at the bar. You see that now that the boulder has kind of bowled through, that snow is whipping in, and there's actually snow in his beard from the draft coming in. He's just kind of sitting at the bar. He has a bottle of Firebrand whiskey, and he's just sitting there, pours himself a large glass of it, and kind of downs it. Looks at the boulder in the front of his restaurant and kind of shakes his head. You guys kind of like walk in and peek around the rock to like see if he's open or not, or even alive. He just kind of grunts at you. You don't necessarily know what that means at first, but then he reaches under the bar and plops 2 more glasses on, nods his head for you kind of to come in.
Beautiful set piece you've got here. I'd build a bit of a fireplace around it. Make it part of the building. Or relic of sorts.
I'll kill you.
It'll be all right.
I'm not in the mood for no jokes. He kind of says, but then he laughs as you say it. He pours you a glass of Firebrand whiskey. He would look over to Sunlit and then look at Warrendale for a second, kind of give the eyes, and then look to Sunlit like glass over the whiskey kind of over the glass, like he's gonna pour you one.
No, thank you, the bartender.
She wants to lick the rock, I think.
I'm gonna knock you the fuck out, Warrendale.
Take a joke, kitty.
Very well. He reaches underneath and grabs some water and pours you some of that.
Oh, is this that special blend?
Don't get yourself drunk on this one, Sunny. I remember last time.
Yeah, it was intoxicating.
You could say that. Stumbling all over the place like a fool. It was quite entertaining.
The old Ogden would look over and, I'd offer you some ice, but just reach down and grab some snow, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
So, tell me something, Sonny. Why did you come here?
To further my connection to a power that we believe that I may have inside me.
Is it
Um,
common for your kind? You're the
no, there's
only
nobody.
bipedal kitty that I saw walking around.
Yes,
Well,
there's not too many here in Faerun, especially here in. She just looks around wherever the hell we are.
so are you here for something specific?
Yes, I seem to have an ability that not many monks, or martial artists of myself can do. I have seems in me I have the ability to use my key and maybe even create a almost like an energy bolt. I don't know. It's something that is either in you or isn't. I don't know. It's something that
Much like my own powers.
I thought I left behind, but it's been screaming in the back of my head for a few days. Everything's light.
Well, if you need any mentoring, then don't be afraid to ask.
What?
Mentoring. If you
I
would
don't
like
even know
for
what
me
that
to be
means.
your master and teach you the wisdom of my ages, the things I know.
I'm not trying to become
It's
a
okay. You'll be all
whatever
right.
you do. I just really. How can you be so nice for one sentence, and then the next sentence it's always just such you?
It takes talent. It takes a while to achieve and personificate, but we'll be all right. You have a good night, Sonny. He'll get up and down the rest of his drink, give Sonny a pat on the ears, scratch behind her ear a little, and head on out the door.
Ogden raises his glass and chugs another one. He's actually drank like 3 of these full glasses of the brandy in the time that you guys just had that short chat. Says, come back whenever you want.
Thank you, old man.
You guys aren't so bad, although you got a weird relationship. You guys should just kiss or something already. He's kind of laughs at himself and
She would attempt to help it's a human. No,
it's
no, he's a dwarf.
yeah, he's a dwarf.
Yeah, so I'd help him up. I'm assuming he has some residence here, but I'd help him back to
Yeah,
wherever he lives, and and then she'd go back up and go into the room that she had bought the night before,
absolutely.
and
Go ahead.
she finds it hard to sleep that evening. She finds it very restless because everything around her is changing again. She met this wonderful man that shared this elixir of sorts that made her feel good and made her feel different. And now she's seen what that can do to you. And she's never seen anybody that's been like that ever in her life. And she really wrestles with that. And in the morning she's gonna have zero desire to have anything alcoholic again in her life.
Cool. Anybody else have any closing thoughts or anything? I imagine no one really has a good sleep. as you prepare for.
I see Livy probably just like with a child that just she's able to calm down to a rest and whatnot, just kind of sitting there like probably surrounded by these orphans and whatnot, just leaning up against the wall and just like her thoughts flooded with just like she could talk to her grandpa and he'll just eventually fall asleep, but just not after like just these silent tears just going down her face. She's just stressed beyond belief and just guilt ridden.
Absolutely.
Imagine with, Warren had his place back there at the church. He would be headed back to, since he slept there the night before and everything. So, as he kind of passes by in the scene, you can see where he stops and looks into the temple or, the room where Octavius is. He just kind of glares at the man who seems to be, I don't know if you're necessarily praying, but, kind of questioning yourself. I imagine it'd be some sort obvious in some way. But you see Warren just kind of stares at you in silence for a few minutes before he turns and heads back to his room.
Absolutely. Octavius, I guess, seems pretty entranced in thought. Maybe notices you, but doesn't give it much more than that. And with that, unless anyone else wants anything to do, we'll say that you guys long rested. Although a comfortable sleep after the incident that you guys just survived, you got through seeing firsthand what giants can do. It's a little bit daunting to know that you think about your time spent in the flying castle with Zephyros, the cloud giant, who was actually like your first, for most of you, first contact with a giant, with the exception of Sunlit. And he did warn you that like giant kind's kind of getting all messed up right now, and that they're on this bit of like on the uproar and whatnot. But you guys weren't necessarily expecting it to be on this kind of level. Having met Zephyros, it probably almost like sugarcoated what you thought giants would be. Just this kind of blumbling cloud giant that's borderline insane and just loves his griffin kitties. Now you see frost giants and the power and ferocity that they bring, and just the cruel kind of cold, undiscerning need to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish with little regard to your people. It kind of sinks in now that Zephyros said that it's on you guys to fix this, so that you guys are the chosen ones. Well, you're not necessarily the chosen ones, but you'll have to do because you're the ones that he found, so it'll work. But you all kind of sit and think throughout the night, like, what the hell are us four going to do to stop all of giant kind from doing this? And between that and thinking about your faith, thinking about things changing, thinking about what you could or could have done, thinking about whatever, you guys sleep through the night and are fully rested. Does anyone need to take a quick break or anything? This is around the time where we can take.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yep, this is a good time to take a quick 5-minute wash and break, drink break, whatever you need to do.
All right, be back in a couple.
I'm gonna get a drink real quick of water because I have like this cold that literally just won't go away. So my throat is just already failing me. I can feel it going as the session goes on. So I'll be right back getting a water. So far so good, guys. See you in a couple seconds.
Okay.
Anybody sticking around?
Totally.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't know much about. I'm not saying this is going to come to fruition or not, but I'm just wondering about the conditions and things like that for multi-classing and dual classing. If you guys know anything about that kind of stuff.
Not really on my end, because I've never messed with either one, really. When Corey gets back, he knows a lot about it, because I know he does. Because I was originally thinking of actually dual classing into Bard for a shit ton of spells, but this severely weakens the Sorcerer class, so I didn't mess with it. I'm just going straight Sorcerer.
Fair enough. I'm just not sure where Octavius's conflict is going to lead him, and I'm going to have to research the possibilities for that kind of stuff before I make a decision.
You're a cleric, right?
Yeah.
Always much
Human though, and
paladin and warrior. Naturally.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, depending on what the conflict makes them.
I could see paladin actually working out instead of being a priest or a healer for his god, invoking the war right for his god. That could make sense, but I'll have to read into that. Yeah, I'm not sure, but
a natural progression into a more warrior-esque. I guess a paladin naturally embraces the gods and stuff, but it kind of would show that deviation a little bit.
What's up, fam?
I got a question for you, Chris. On Fantasy Grounds, it is shown that my Charisma and Constitution saves are starred with a +6 and +5, but I don't know why.
All right, Constitution saves. Well, that's what you're proficient in. So your proficiency modifier is 3 right now, and your regular thing is 3. So yeah, so the star just means that you're proficient.
Oh, okay.
So anytime that there's a star on a character sheet in Fantasy Grounds, it just means that's adding your proficiency modifier.
Okay, I didn't know if maybe I clicked because I don't remember them there last time, but maybe they were.
Yeah, maybe it's just something you overlooked because I think that's, unless I'm mistaken, that's what warlocks or sorcerers are proficient.
Yeah,
their saving throws.
Yeah, the charisma and then one other one. Okay.
Were you talking?
I don't remember being starred.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. Maybe it wasn't. At least it is now because it's definitely supposed to be. So at least you have that going on. What were you talking about, Dan? I think I heard something about multi-classing.
Yeah, I was just wondering about what's the deal with dual classing and multi-classing in 5e? Because I remember back in 2, I think it was 2, you could multi-class. You could do a lot if you were a human. You could multi-class or dual class if you're a human, but I don't know the rules around it.
Yeah, you can multi-class in pretty much any, or definitely any race that you want. There's no race or class. The only thing that matters with multi-classing is certain things need a certain ability. So for example, a warlock or a bard or something like that would need a certain stat to be at a certain level so charisma would need to be so high. And as long as you qualify for that, you can multi-class. And now depending on what you're multi-classing into, there's spell casting charts that you get into where different classes count towards being a spellcaster of different levels. So
is there a difference between dual classing and multi-classing?
No, multi-classing and dual classing, as far as I know, is just a different way of saying it.
Because they used to be 2 different things. Back in the very first or second edition of D&D, it was if you multi-classed, you could use attributes from both, but if you dual-classed, you switched from your main to your secondary.
The
way
the way 5e works is you just can level up in basically whatever you want, permitting that you have. So, give me an example of what you're thinking about. If you can just say anything, and I have the chart in front of me. I can tell you.
I think that Morgan did had a great idea about the evolution of my character going from a cleric to more of a paladin for his god.
Okay, so yeah, a paladin's the only thing that you need to multi-class into a paladin is 13 strength and 13 charisma. If you have that, the next time you level up, you can take level 1 of paladin. And then what that means is you'll, for the most part, pretty much get everything that a level 1 paladin would get. Depending on the spell class, I'll have to look up the actual spell slots and how it works. It's a little bit muddled, but we can look that up no problem and figure it out. Fantasy Grounds might actually even take care of it all automatically for us.
Yeah, it did when I was doing Bard. It did it all for me.
I'm not saying it's something that I'm going to do. I'm just saying that it's something that I'm not sure where this inner conflict in Octavius is going to lead him. So I just want to have options ahead of him.
Yeah, absolutely. We can definitely work aside that. I love that. That's actually super cool. I didn't see you taking it this way, and I'm really excited that you did, to see where you bring it, whether it's multi-classing or what. I think this will be a cool kind of arc for Octavius for sure. But other than that, is everybody back?
Other than Corey.
Corey's not back yet? All right, we'll hang out. We have someone in the chat hanging out with us. Wim, thank you for joining us. Welcome. Hopefully we are entertaining you on this. I think it's morning for you. So good morning, I guess. It's really late here. we have I make these people join me at awful hours in the night and play D&D super late, and they're always really tired, but they're good sports about it. Corey's under the weather today, but he showed up for the game nonetheless, so I appreciate that, Corey.
Yeah, well, thank you. So we're doing our thing. Let's get it done.
Yeah, let's get on with it. All right.
Let's get it on.
All right. The morning comes quicker than you would obviously like it to with the kind of muddled sleep that you all get, but nonetheless, a long rest is what you achieve. You shake off the bruises and broken bones and healing throughout the day and are as good can be for the circumstance. You head to the marketplace, all kind of meeting up around the same time, just basically at the crack of dawn. You see that Belladora is there waiting, kind of tapping her foot with her giant crossbow on her back. You see that Sir Barrick is also waiting there. His kind of has icicles hanging off his big curly mustache. He has like his knight helmet on now and his kind of chainmail that he's wearing. He's waiting. And Belladora kind of welcomes you. Good morning, everybody. Glad to see that you all didn't have second thoughts.
Absolutely not.
Did everyone get a good sleep? Well, Wandal, you made it here. My knight in shining armor, we can say.
Yeah,
so brave.
I know.
So brave.
It's cool. I understand.
So, are we all ready to track down a bunch of giants and probably die, saving some stupid kid? Well, anyone have an idea of what to do? Like, how are we going to? I guess they probably leave big footprints, right?
Lily would like if anyone said that was my exact thought. She'd be like, "Well, let's just follow the footsteps. They're big enough."
But one foot's in front of the other.
Bear kind of chimes in. Well, you know that the snow probably blew in, and I wouldn't be surprised if all their tracks are gone now. Anyways, I'm kind of an experienced hunter around these parts, and I can tell you that Icewind Dale is no place to just walk around aimlessly. All kinds of terrible creatures out there. Remor hazes, yetis, feral barbarians. There's even a frickin' dragon that runs around these parts. Ice claws.
Bastard.
It's dangerous.
I knew someone once who would love to have fought a dragon. He disappeared, though.
And he probably died if you're looking to fight a dragon. I can tell you that much.
Anyways.
Well, maybe we should stock up on resources before we go out.
Absolutely. And then Belladora says, yeah, you're a smart thinker. Luckily for you guys, I am on the top of my game, and I went and checked over Dufree, that stupid giant that we whooped, and it turns out they left something behind. And she pulls out something from her pocket, and it's this little black kind of cloudy stone. You guys don't really click in at what it is at first, but then it kind of sinks in that you've seen Dufree holding this, although it was much bigger when she held it. It seems that this black stone that kind of has like this glowing red pulse into it has shrunk down to Belladora's hand. What did that giant call it? A bloodstone or whatever? Seems that the other one forgot to grab it. So apparently this, and she kind of holds it and shakes it at you, will track that stupid kid. So at least we can follow them. I also found some other junk on the giant. I don't know if you guys are interested in that kind of stuff. And then if you were, she would say she had 15 gemstones on her helmet that I picked off.
Is one of them a diamond?
What's that?
Is one of them a diamond?
One of them is not the diamond. 15 gemstones that are worth 100 gold each. These are pretty nice.
If one of them's like a ruby, will she just only be able to cast chromatic orb fire? Or if she takes a green one like an emerald, will it only cast chromatic orb acid?
We'd have to see how that works. And then she'd also say the giant had a big ass bag of shit too. It's all giant size though, so I don't really know if you guys have any use for that, but I left it all back on the body. There was a bell, a cauldron. I don't know what the hell she was using that for. And like I said, these are all like basically giant in size. There's that ivory horn that she used to blow. That thing looks like it could be worth a good chunk of money if someone could lug it around. There's a bunch of chain. I don't know if anyone's interested in that. And she kind of just like starts chiming off all these weird random things. A painted rocking horse that was just chucked into this giant's bag. And you just like literally like thinking like, why would we want?
Might be able to help, be useful for the kids. We'll leave that here.
And then she would say, "Oh yeah, go ahead."
Yeah, Octavius will speak up and say, "Did anyone else that's not coming with us meet us here this morning? I mean, like, did the town speaker or did the sheriff or any of them meet us here in the morning?"
No, it's just you guys, Belladora, and Sir Barrick. Everybody else, I guess, is worried about the defense of the town.
I would look to Belladora and I would say, maybe we should tell the town about the horn. When she blew the horn, the giants stopped throwing rocks. If they set that up and were able to blow that, maybe they would have be able to give themselves some time.
That is a pretty good idea, she says, I guess.
Is there any magic to it? Because
I'm no wizard, but just looked like a regular old horn to me. Although, obviously, it's an ivory horn, so a horn of that size, and it's like literally maybe 4 of you guys standing. Like, that's how big it is. She would say probably that much ivory would be worth some money, but that's a good idea. They can maybe set it up in town and at least distract them or catch them off guard. We'll mention that before we leave. Markham said that he would see us off at the gates. But anyways, I'm just kind of messing with you guys. All that stuff that I said before is pretty useless, I know, besides the gemstones, but they also had this on them. And she pulls out 5 vials and says, pretty sure these are potions of healing. Probably be a little useful if you guys want them.
just one.
All right. So she'd hand out 5 potions of greater healing. I can, who wants them? I can actually add them to your character sheet.
Livy.
Livy's grabbing them all. All right, Livy has the potions of healing. All right.
Don't worry, I'm a fighter anyways, right?
Let me add that to the old character sheet for you. Oops. And with that, she would say, why is that not working? Oh, well, I'll do that later. I'll add it later. Don't worry that I'll add it in for sure. With that, she would say, shall we go see if Rendell's wonderful emporium is still intact?
Yeah.
And what about the blacksmith?
We can go check there too. Maybe he'll be done. That was one of the places that I planned on stopping, she would say, and kind of chuckle to herself. Where do you want to go first, guys? She would look to you. You're all not a talkative bunch. This is going to be a real boring trip if you guys are all going to be this quiet. You know, I like to talk. I like to have good conversation.
Let's check out the emporium. Let's go. I like to talk to. Now we can talk for days.
All right. So you kind of walk towards this. She brings you to one of the largest trade houses in Bryn Shanders, Rendarl's Emporium. And knowing that you have a good word with Morak, this place is said to be the center place of Bryn Shanders for getting any kind of or the finest of goods in all of the 10 towns. You can get fishing rods fashioned from elven yew. You can get yeti skin coats, scrimshaw buttons, mithril fish hooks, axe heads, daggers, all this kind of crazy stuff. Rendarl has it. And as you walk, you would see that a big boulder has plowed right through the center of it. To which Bellador would say, well, that's not a promising sign. Should we see if he's home? And then she'd kind of knock on the broken door. To which, after a couple of moments, you would hear a voice call out, welcome! Welcome, customers! Come! Rendarl is open and ready for business. Don't ignore the boulder, ignore the wreckage. Promise that that's just renovations. What can I do you for?
Are you the same?
My name is
Octavia.
Rendarl, and I am the owner of this wonderful store that's currently going through some interesting times. But let's not dwell on that. Let's do some business, right? Money, money, money.
Octavius will bring up the fact that they were sent to talk to Rendo by the person in Neverwinter, or whatever the first place we were at. Nightshade, sorry.
Oh, Morak. Damn it. I owe him a good favor, too. That means not making too much money today. Well, best not to dwell on it. What can I do you guys for? And then, obviously...
We're going to need...
Go ahead.
We're going to need supplies to track down frost giants and hopefully be able to separate our friend from them.
All right. Well, come and see what you can find. And you can basically anything that you would want from your adventuring gear, you can definitely find in here. So let me see if I can share this page to you guys. No, I can't. But yeah, if there's anything on the top of your mind that you would think that you'd want, you can go ahead and pick it up within reason, obviously. But you would look around and see that a lot of the store has been ramshacked through the attack. But there is still, if you have something on your mind, go ahead and shout it out, and we'll see if we can hook you up with it.
You get a dungeoneering kit?
He would have a dungeoneering kit, absolutely.
I'll take that.
He'd dust it off. There'd be snow on it. He would look and say, "Oh, I normally charge 12 gold for that. Damn it, Morak." Yes, dungeoneering pack. Here you go. And he'd hand it to you. Anything else? Everyone has tons of shopping to do, I see. Rendaro says.
Where would I look for like the health potions in my inventory?
I haven't added them just yet. If you're looking for the health potions I did, for some reason, Fantasy Grounds isn't letting me type your name in right away. So instead of dwelling on it, I have it in your party sheet. So at the end of the game, I'll definitely dish it out for you. But as of right now, I'm just letting it sit there.
Are you sure? Because I don't have anything else that comes to mind.
Yeah. Okay. Bellador would pipe up and say that Duvessa said to hook these guys up also. To which he'd kind of throw his arms up. Oh, really? Duvessa also giving out discounts. How great is that? We can definitely do that. Let's Rindaro hook you guys up right now. Come on into the store. We'll get you something. And he starts going through and kind of like throwing things around. To which he says, "Here, this cleric. You look like you like to wear armor. How about this?" And he holds what looks like some chainmail. And to you, it looks pretty nice, but you don't see anything in the particular like that makes it any necessarily better than yours. So it's kind of weird that he's like, you look down, mine looks kind of good.
With the special chainmail or just regular chainmail?
This is a Randarl's exclusive. I call it the cast-off chainmail. Basically, once you put it on and you attune to it, with a snap of a finger, you can cast it off instead of having at the end of the day to unbuckle all your straps and take all that pain in the ass time. Just snap your fingers and poof, the armor's off.
I'll take one.
Well, to be honest, mine's a little dented. I could use some new chainmail.
This is for you. Oh, for the missus. As you say, you'll take one. She says, "I have something for you also. I think that would probably suit you." And looks out and grabs this cloak. And holds it up and starts tying it up around your neck. And at first, it just looks like a pretty nice cloak, but nothing out of the ordinary.
So,
what's your favorite color, my dear?
Oh, I'm on green.
Green. Well, and then he kind of murmurs something to the cloak, and then suddenly this crimson cloak that has this like red and kind of gold trim, almost like a chameleon, changes color to this beautiful emerald green. I call it the cloak of many fashions. While wearing this you can just kind of think about what you want, and out of game as a bonus action, you can change the style, quality, and appearance, or basically you can make the cloak look how you want as long as it's a cloak.
So I can hide better. I can press up against a tree and be like, I'm a tree.
In theory, although
She's just like, okay. I don't see how this is going to protect me much in a fight, but
oh, I'm sure it'll be great. Here, take it. Why not? Everything's free on Rendarl today, he says, and starts walking away. Looks over at you, Warndell. Oh, look at you, in a good mood. How great. You have this scowl on your face. I have something for you also, my friend. Picks out this wand and hands it to you. This will help you out for sure.
What am I supposed to do with it?
Oh, this will fix your day right up. You, mister, I can tell you're a grumpy one. Well, with this wand, I call it the Wand of Smiles.
Wonderful.
And he says, he goes through kind of like how to work it, and basically it has 3 charges. And while you're holding it, you can expend 1 charge to make someone within 30 feet of you do a charisma saving throw. And if they fail, they're forced to smile, whether they want to or not. You should try it on yourself. Bound to improve your day.
I have a few ideas for this. Don't worry. Can I get a flask of oil too?
Yes, he would get you a flask of oil. Let me add that to the stuff that you guys want. Where did it go? I lost my thing. All right, let's open that back up. Flask of oil. And I'll add that to the party sheet, and then at the end of the game, I'll add it to your guys' inventory. As you get the Wand of Smiles also, let me add that in. And we got cast off chainmail armor for Octavios. We got the Cloak of Many Fashions for Livy. And as you guys are kind of getting this stuff, it's like kind of cool, I guess, in theory, but none of it's like super practical. Like, it's definitely not going to make your trip any easier for tracking giants, but you can tell that Rendaro's just kind of going through this like little fuss, like he's going to have a mental breakdown now that he has to give away all this free stuff. And he's kind of like mumbling under his breath, like, how dare Duvessa make me give away all this stuff when my store has been wrecked and I've been one of the best merchants in all of it. And he's just kind of going off on a tangent to himself, to which he would look around and just look at Sunlit and be like, what the hell do I get you? I don't even know what you are. No offense. To which Belladora kind of walks by and she sees this tankard and she grabs it, looks at it, studies it. Is this what I think it is? And then throws it at you, Sunlit. You catch the tankard and you hear liquid sloshing around in it.
She would look in it.
You would look in it, take a whiff, and it does have a strong sense of alcoholic wine in it. She'd wink at you.
Not funny, Belladora. You should set it onto the counter.
Oh, you must not know what it is. This is a wondrous item, she says. I've known it to help many people recover from, well, we know. And then she'd kind of walk up to you and say, this is called a tankard of sobriety. You can drink it as much as you want, but no matter how much you drink, you can never become inebriated. I figured it might help, you know? Kind of taking yourself off this kind of stuff isn't the easiest to do cold turkey.
Yeah, it's the sun brighter today?
Perhaps. The sun is always bright when you're about to go on a great adventure. That's what I always say.
I almost like you, Belladora.
Almost. We'll work on that.
He almost likes me too.
Well,
I
wouldn't get carried away.
like you.
All right. Well, anything else anybody wants? Rendaro would say.
Are you sure there's none of that cool snap your fingers and off comes the armor, on goes the armor?
What are you looking for?
That's really practical in a jiffy.
But think of how cool you're going to look with this cloak. It'll be the finest cloak in all of the towns.
She just rolls her eyes like, and he'll probably like go over to one of the ladies, just like, or over to someone that's just like, Seems a little sexist that I got this. You just like keep it at that.
I got a cup, Livy.
Yeah.
Who wants to smile today?
Warndell, it looks like that
go
wand of
get
smiles
further.
could be used right now.
He just goes, already am.
All right,
Okay.
Rendaro kind of tapping his foot now, just like anybody else want anything. Nobody, I'm guessing, is done, or nobody else wants anything. So with that said and done, you kind of have a small grocery list and a bunch of just random ass items for everybody. You walk out, and Belladora says, "Shall we go check out Black Iron Blades and see if your weapon is done? See if Elza and her brother Garn made it through the attack." Which I'm
I hope
assuming
so.
you guys do. So you come up to where Black Iron Blades was, this like little kind of blacksmith's tent, and you would see that unfortunately a rock has just blasted right through it. You look around and you don't see Garn, you don't see Elza anywhere. You just see bits of his blacksmith tent kind of all smashed around by a rock. Belladora kind of, oof, that doesn't look promising. How much gold did you pay again?
Nothing yet.
Well, that's good. But maybe it's around here. And she asks you to make a perception check. See if you can find it. Kind of fumbling around through the supplies, you see like a bunch of like scimitars, just normal weapons or whatnot. A lot of them are bent, broken, and snapped off. But after a little bit of checking around, you find yourself rummaging through the snow, and you feel a chain on your hand. And you start to pull the chain, and you would see that the weapon that you wanted made for you, that I'm completely blanking out on the name and told myself I wouldn't, but I know it's a crazy name. Go ahead and say it for me.
No, it's like a Kumi Sagara or something like that.
Let's just call it a comma whip for the
Comma
for the sake of my sanity.
whip.
You see that that's there and made. Oh, would you look at that? It looks like he was at least able to finish it before he probably died. Yikes.
Have one interesting sense of humor, Bellador.
Mm.
And she checks it over, and it, does look whole.
Give it an investigation check.
Okay. This is her thing, let me tell you. It actually didn't turn out bad.
Yeah, it's pretty good. So one thing that you do notice is that there seems to be some integrity to the actual chain itself. Doesn't seem to be the best. To which
Okay.
Belladora is watching you study it, and then she says, if these giants didn't attack, we would have had a laugh about this. Seems kind of awkward at this point, though. I don't know if I can let you go through with it.
I'm not sure what you mean, Bellador.
Well, you see, there's this thing that people do in Faerun. I don't know what you would necessarily call it in where you're from, but you know how we kind of like gave you the water and we tricked you into thinking that you were drunk and we all laughed and it was great fun? We call that a prank. And I had this great idea. And she's kind of like looking at you as you're like probably staring her down with quite a bit of frustration quickly growing in you. And she would say, well, you see, Black Iron Blades, I told you it was the best blacksmith in all of Bryn Shanders. Not necessarily the truest thing I've ever told. You see, a lot of the locals have a joke that says that anytime something bad happens to somebody, it's because they were carrying a black iron blade. So I thought, I'd bring you here, I'd get this weapon that you wanted made, and then it would probably break the first time you would go to use it. and then we would laugh, and it would be a great time. And then she's kind of looking at you, studying you, but it doesn't seem like you maybe think that's the funniest right now.
She hasn't blinked.
What's that? Sorry.
She hasn't blinked, and it's been an uncomfortably long amount of time.
Yeah. Okay. Don't worry though, because it turns out I'm pretty handy. So give me a second. She grabs the weapon from you and kind of flips open the broken down tent, and you still see that the anvil's there. And she actually pulls out the chain from the giant's bag that she was holding. And this is a pretty big chain in comparison, but it's very sturdy. And she fastens the karma. She looks around. She grabs a hammer in the snow. Quickly, kind of starts working around with pretty impressive speed. What the hell is it called? The forge is still kind of glowing with heat. She starts to work in with a rather impressive speed. Within like about an hour or so, refashions your commo onto this chain that the giant had. And then she throws it into the snow. It hisses as the heat kind of cools down from the icy snow. You see it melting. There. That will probably work a little better for you. I guess if you're going to be with me, potentially fighting giants, might not be the funniest prank if your weapon broke. You're not mad at me or anything, are you? It's funny, right? Think of the look on your face you would have had. Just think about not the giant attacking and tragedy. Just think the first time you go to use the weapon, you whip it out, you think you're going to be all cool, and then it snaps. Wouldn't that have been... No, okay. I'll stop. And then she just kind of walks over to Warrendale.
What does Sunny look like right now?
It's a very strange look in her face. She's trying to push off the effect that she's really angry with her. But she's been dreaming of this weapon in her head for a month and a half. And it's in her hands. So the smile wand might not be a terrible thing for her, but she's conflicted right this moment.
But I thought that was quite hilarious, Bellator.
See, you have a sense of humor.
I'm trying to teach the cat how to smile, but I got to back up just in case.
Do you think she's going to try to kill me right now? She's not blinking. It's kind of weird.
She does that a lot. Just ignore her. I get that look all the time.
Sunlit, you hear the hissing of the snow melting, and after a couple minutes, it finally subsides, and you kind of walk over to where the comma is, and you bend over, and you pick up what we're going to call comma whip, and you hold it in your hands, and it just feels nice. And as you look at it, it's not necessarily exactly what you were picturing, but you hold it and you kind of give a tug at the chains, and everything is secured in correctly, and seems to be... You're actually kind of surprised. Maybe you're not like, maybe there's probably blacksmiths or whatnot in Mazteca, but you're impressed to see that this girl just kind of whipped this together in a couple of minutes right in front of you. Do you give it a test whip?
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me an attack roll and see how cool it looks.
Okay.
Go ahead and describe what it looks like then with a 25. This thing works beautifully.
Yeah. So she holds the comma in her hand, which is her dominant hand, which is she's left-handed. So she takes the work of chain, and you said it's quite long, right?
Yes.
Actually. longer than she probably would have expected it to be. But she kind of coils it up a couple times, and it does have a weight on the end of it, I'm assuming.
Yep.
And she kind of looks it over for a second, and like I said, she's only ever seen one other of these before, and it was her master back in the islands. And she's seen him work it, so she starts swinging it a little bit. And as she's feeling the weight and it feels more comfortable, there's remnants of another tent that also got ran over. Looks to be like a textiles tent. And there's one standing pole, and she releases the weight from her right hand, and it wraps around that pole, and she gives it just a tug, and it is, I'm assuming, on there quite taut to what she was, trying to have happen. And with the quickness that the party knows that she can have, it almost looks like she instantaneously moves there, if not even just teleporting to where that post is, and she just unsecures the weighted end and goes around her business and kind of wraps up the chain and put it on. Well done, Bellador. Venom is perfect, but it's certainly looks as if it'll work. I'm gonna give you a little hint, though. If you'd never seen anybody like me, and it's the first time you ever met a 6-foot cat before, don't know if I'd make fun of it.
Ugh, I make fun of her all the time. It'll be okay.
Warrendell, I'm going to kill you in your sleep one night, and you're not going to know.
Well, no, I'll be sleeping. How the hell would I know if you're going to come in and kill me when I'm sleeping? That makes no sense. Dumb cat.
He's right. It doesn't really make that much sense. Dwyer pipes up. But I am glad that you're not going to kill me. And that's what's important, because I have the bloodstone, and I made you a cool whippy thing, and I fashioned it with the giant chain, so it's actually going to be much better than Garn ever could have did. That guy was the literally shittiest blacksmith on the face of the planet. I promise one day we'll look back at this and we'll be old ladies. You'll have like gray fur, and we're just going to laugh at this. I promise.
Oh.
I see the rivalry.
Well, it looks like we're all ready to go, unless anyone else has anything else to do. Shall we go save this young priest?
Absolutely. Okay. I also want to see if we can I actually have a question for the Giants anyways. So let's go.
All right. Unless anybody else has anything they want to do, you guys are going to head out into the Icewind Dales. What's that?
Let's head out.
All right. Markham meets you guys at the gate with Augric. It's not like I'm not going to go through it all because we kind of already went over what I wanted to before getting out into town. But basically, it tells you to be careful, come back alive, save that damn kid, and whatever the hell you do, don't bring the Giants back with you. Kind of shakes your arm and gives you some directions, some pointers, some things to watch out for. And you guys open up the gate's broken down, so you don't even open it up. You kind of like see people repairing the gates that were smashed by Warrendell and the Giants, and you look out into the ice.
For all our friends.
You would Bellador would mention about the horn, the ivory horn, and maybe if they set it up that they can distract the Giants. Markham says that's a good idea, and he'll get someone on that. And you guys head out into the Icewind Dale. Snow immediately starts to encompass you guys once you start walking down the path, and it's quickly knee-high. Bellador pulls out the bloodstone and kind of holds it in the air, like, how the hell do you wreck this thing?
Livy's question, too, is like, so, how, do you think does it work like a compass? Like,
and she's like, right with you, like, I don't know. I'm holding it. Do I hold it higher? Do I hold it lower? Am I supposed to shake it?
Does it have a beat to it or anything?
And she's kind of turning, and eventually, after a while, she faces the direction, and the stone just does this low hum that anyone in the vicinity would hear, and it just shakes in her hand. And then she moves it away, and it doesn't stops doing it, and then she holds it back in another direction, and it does it again.
Please tell me it's like directing us towards this obvious just path of destruction.
You look, and the direction that it's like directing you to is just this absolutely massive like mountain of ice and snow, and just like there's obviously the typical dark clouds, and it just does not look like you look to your left and you see the path that looks like it would be optimal to walk on and like the most traverse thing, and the way they're holding the stone is just like definitely not the path.
You think that maybe the path curves around? Like I can understand maybe this is saying like be like the most direct and straight route to get to them would be that. Maybe the path will go around just a little bit.
Belladora would laugh. Whoever had fun following paths anyways? Come on, this is going to be great. And she starts like heaving into the snow.
Whatever. I got a cloak.
She reaches behind her bag and starts grabbing things out of her bag, and what she pulls out is a couple snowshoes for herself and puts them on. Looks at you guys like, oh, so you guys going to put on your snowshoes? Oh, you guys didn't get snowshoes. That's going to suck. And then, oh well, starts to walk down the path. Come on, guys.
Of course. Are you guys sure you need anything? Anything else? Anything else? We're only in a place of snow. We're about to go hiking. What else could we possibly need? Derp.
So, a couple hours go by as you walk through some pretty icy, miserable conditions. Luckily, you have the beautiful Yeti skin coats that Sirik actually was able to make for you before being kidnapped by the giants. So it's actually keeping you warm. And luckily, as long as the conditions stay as they are, it actually avoids you having to make your Constitution saving throws, which you would normally have to do in this kind of weather. Although this mountain path or this mountain that you guys are now trekking near is definitely putting the Yeti coats to the test, as the wind is absolutely biting and icy cold. Quickly, you're hit with like whiteout conditions, and just the breeze itself almost kind of pushes on you as you're also like quickly waist high in snow. Belladora, obviously with her snowshoes, is having a much easier time. Sir Barrick also definitely thought of that. And there'd be quite a few quips about how, like, I can't believe you guys didn't have snowshoes. I thought you would have asked for that. I would have suggested it, but I thought that if you guys didn't think to ask for it, that you probably had them. And she probably quickly becomes probably like a nuisance, as she almost seems to be enjoying the fact that you guys didn't bring any snowshoes and are struggling. But
along the hike, Octavius, with his knowledge and books that he's read in the temple, will actually be grabbing brush and bushes and twigs and sticks, and he will be fashioning shitty but practically okay snowshoes out of them for the group. But he will forget himself. He will make snowshoes for everybody else except himself.
We'll see if you do that when you guys take your first break. I'll give you like a survival check or something for the patented Octavius snowshoes. It'd be kind of hard to fashion a bunch of snowshoes while walking in this conditions, but you're inevitably going to have to like kind of break. So maybe you're starting it, but to actually like finish the snowshoes, you're going to have to sit down and work at them. So maybe
could Livy feasibly utilize prestidigitation to create 2 trinkets to fasten to her feet?
I mean, let me look it up really quickly.
No.
It seems like a stretch at best, but I don't know.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm pulling it up right now. That seems like you're grasping.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
No, definitely. You can create a non-magical trinket that fits in your hand. You're out of luck. Good try, though.
It fits in my hand. It just balances, right?
Yeah. 2 hours pass in the morning, and you guys come across the weather kind of finally breaks for a bit. The sun comes out. The wind stops biting at you all. and you're walking, and you kind of find yourself on this plateau with the massive mountain. You guys are actually on the spine of the world, is what it's called, and it's basically just this picture like Mount Everest, only like double the width, if not more. It's just like this absolutely enormous mountain area that Bryn Shanders and a bunch of other places in the Icewind Dale are home to. And as you're walking with one of these large mountains to your right that just basically encompass your entire horizon to the north, you come to like a plateau towards your west, and as you kind of have like this clear path of just white icy snow that's glistening in the sun now and almost kind of blinding you guys, you're starting to sweat now that the sun's come out and the cold wind has started to blow, and you're just stuck with this kind of terrible feeling of like you're hot, but you know that if you peel any layers you're going to be extremely cold, and it's just that kind of uncomfortable, sweaty, cold feeling. But as you're all kind of walking through, you see in the horizon some figures in the distance, just kind of standing there, it almost seems. At first you see one or two about 100 feet away, and then as you get like maybe a little bit closer, at first you maybe thought they were rocks, but as you start to get closer towards 100 feet, you would start to realize that they look like figures, almost humanoid, but they're standing. About your size.
Octavius would continue moving forward.
You continue to move forward, and as you do so, you would see that at first you see 3 or 4 of these rock-like figures just standing there. As you move towards like 80, you would notice that there's about 5 more behind them. None of them move as you start to approach, though. As you get towards 60 feet, if you don't stop, you would definitely, the sun's kind of creating this weird glare off the snow, but these are definitely like humanoid. You would actually see that one has its arm held out in your direction, almost like it's telling you to stop. The other one behind it has like a spear in its hand, but it's looking the other way, and it's just kind of like holding a spear in its hand in like a ready position. If you were to continue forward without stopping, since no one's saying anything, you would, let me see here. Let me pull this handy dandy thing up and do this. It's Octavius, actually, who trips over something in the snow that you didn't see, and you kind of tumble over it. As you pick yourself up, I imagine, and look back, you would see this huge chunk of ice that's kind of like broken off. Yep. And as you look, you would see that frozen in ice is a pair of legs. Doesn't have a torso connected to it.
Oh.
It's literally like a pair of legs standing straight up with nothing connected to it.
That would be an odd sight for Octavius. You trip over that, get up, and kind of back off a few steps, almost as if he was scared of it. And then he would look to War and be like, that's a little odd, don't you think?
It looks like he was frozen stiff.
Warren, you stub your toe on something in the snow.
Glance down, scuff my foot over it a little bit, clear out the snow.
You would see the missing half of these legs' torso. A man dressed in these kind of heavy furs, frozen like a chunk of ice, the top half of him. Horror kind of in his eyes as he has like this several inch thick layer of ice completely surrounding him. He has a scimitar ready in his arm, but it's frozen. And you just see that he's broken in half about 10 feet away from where his body was. You look ahead of you now, and you see that there's several more of these icy figures, all kind of frozen around this area. You see a total of 15 in your vicinity.
Are any of them wearing snowshoes?
Valid point. Give me an investigation check.
If I had inspiration, I'd give it to you, Dan, because that was a good idea.
I'm getting there. Give me a second.
I have it. Take it, Dan.
Beautiful.
Do some inspiration on this roll.
You push over the frozen legs, and would see, in fact, that this guy definitely has some snowshoes on, but they are frozen an inch thick, like this kind of 3-inch thick sheet of ice all around his entire body. The snowshoes are frozen in that thing of ice.
Or no.
All right, so as a cantrip, I'm casting Sacred Flame, and I will melt them out. I might even burn the guy's legs a little bit, but whatever.
And
I was just going to suggest that.
Now, try and help with prestidigitation because she can warm up 1 cubic foot of non-living material for an hour. And so hers is slower than the Sacred Flame, but I was like, hey, I can help.
Yeah, so Sacred Flame is more like a flame-like radiance, so it does have some heat to it, but it'll take some while. But I'm sure between Warrendell and Livy and their magic kind of capabilities that you guys can definitely thaw this frozen pair of legs and clean off. Who cares that there's just frozen men all over this area? Let's just get the snowshoes off of them, and you get you get your first pair of snowshoes.
Sir Barrick.
Yes.
Have you seen these people before?
Ah, yes. They look like barbarians. Ragged barbarians is the kind of what's the word I'm looking for? He says
Would they rip a man in half?
Would they rip a man in half? These barbarians? Yes, they are actually. Let me see here. They look like they're part of the. They look like they're part of the wolf tribe, and the wolf tribe are known to actually be cannibalistic. So they would literally rip off your arm and probably eat it.
Wonderful. Do you have any rapport with these people?
Oh no. Best to stay clear of them. They will attack on sight. They are just very feral.
So then we should make our way around, is what you're saying.
Well, I don't think these frozen ones are going to be much trouble to us. I think what you should be more worried about is how they got frozen. Look at them. It looks like it happened in an instant. They were fighting. They were fighting something.
Looks around.
Is there anything that looks like a direction in which this ice came from?
Give me a perception check.
She has no idea.
No. To you, it just looks like literally just ice swept across and froze all these men and women within an instant.
But there's a fair amount of them that have snowshoes on?
If you were to go knock over these poor barbarians one by one, you would see that they were all smart enough to bring snowshoes for sure.
Okay, here's a tricky question for you. Would Octavius, with his medical or his medicine proficiencies, be able to tell, since these people were frozen so quickly, if any of them still have a pulse or a heartbeat, and they're possibly cryogenically frozen, so Octavius could warm them up and talk to them?
You can give him a medicine check, I guess, if you want.
Man, that's a futuristic fucking thought process, man.
I'm gonna go with the no.
With a nat 1, absolutely. You can if you let these guys sit for 1,000 years, you could warm them up and they'd be good as new.
Perfect.
But anyone that else would see what you were doing would tell you that it's absolutely hopeless, and if they were frozen, they would die within a couple seconds.
So he's babbling about it, and Sonny just looks at him and goes, they're frozen solid, Octavius.
Well, you know, I read a book one time where there was this lizard who was frozen, and when they
what I'm going
him,
to tell you is that this person's a lot larger than a lizard, Octavius. And
Belladora would pipe up. Speaking of lizards, there's probably only one thing that I could think of that could do something like this in an instant, and
it's that dragon, Belladora.
Yes. I believe she goes by the name of Ice Claws. Avitress is her actual name. And she
What about you
is...
there, Barrick? Mr. Adventurer.
I would agree. This does look like the work of Avitress.
Have you met her before?
As long as that.
She is an ancient white dragon. To meet her would probably mean to end up like this or worse. She's a pretty nasty creature, believed to be fairly insane. Hopefully, we do not cross her path, and if we do, hide.
And
Pray.
when Livy goes off talking about that great story her grandpa retired on, he's like, yeah, he fought a blue ancient dragon. Almost died, but luckily Grandma saved him and his party.
Belladora looks to you, Sunlit, and says, and you say, I'm the one that lies a lot.
Yeah, it's surrounded by them.
Well, if this is the work of Ice Claws, then she probably froze these guys to eat them later, so best off we don't lay here and become the appetizers.
It's like I thought these snowshoes aren't worth it. Go.
It's up to you guys if you want to push your luck and fall some more snowshoes, or you have one pair now at least. What do you guys want to
Octavius
do?
would hand them to Livy, so we should probably leave.
All right. Anybody else disagree? Agree?
Let's
The
go.
party heads out then, kind of looking back one last time at these men that are seemingly frozen in an instant. You can just see by the look on their face that they're terrified, frightened, ready for battle. They were fighting inevitably this dragon, but within an instant, just frozen solid, all 15 of them in one go. To think of a creature that can do that, probably nothing you want to bump into. So you get the heck out of there and you continue walking through this path. Now, a few more hours go by and it becomes around time to kind of take a break and eat. It's around a little bit after noon at this point. You find you put that frozen battlefield behind you. It's about 2 hours behind now, so within reasonable way, and you've kind of found yourself along a tree line now in the mountain pass. Although these trees are covered in thick snow, very much like pine almost, with big blankets of white, thick, damp snow on it. You kind of clear out a path underneath the snow and buckle down for a quick bite to eat, and now would be a good time to try to fashion some snowshoes if you guys wanted to kind of peel off some of the trees from the tree, or peel off bark and sticks from the trees and whatnot. So you can go ahead, Octavios, and give me a survival check if you want to try to build a snowshoe.
I will use the rope from my dungeoneering kit to help me put them together as well.
Nice, sounds good. Go ahead and do so at advantage then.
Okay, well, I'll roll it again then. Hold on.
Yep.
Damn it.
Okay. So within an hour of the break that you guys are having, you're able to whip together one pair of snowshoes. But holy crap, do they look like they're going to break the first time you put pressure on them. But
I'll give them to
That's why they give them to Livy, because Livy's the lightest.
But you look really proud of them, and everybody else maybe doesn't have the heart to tell you that they're not the best. So who's getting those snowshoes, Livy or Sunlit?
Livy's like 100.
I'll hand them.
How heavy are you?
At least two of you, little girl.
Yep.
Go ahead, try them out, Libby. They look wonderful, Octavius.
Thank you.
All right, Octavius, I'll give him a try. I'll treat him one.
All right, you put the snowshoes on, you test them out, and they seem to be holding. Although every time you kind of like put a little bit of weight on them, you hear like cracking. But for now, they are holding.
It should do well. It should do. You know, first tries are always a little iffy, and so it'll do. It'll be fine. The next one's better.
Belladora walks up behind you and whispers, "The first sign of danger, take those things off."
Okay.
Wow, Octavios, I didn't know you were such a handyman. He kind of walks up behind you and sits down.
Well, this isn't the first time that I've had to make snowshoes.
It's at this point that you hear the sounds of what seems like someone screaming.
Signs of danger. The snowshoes are off, and she's running out the door. Kind of like that animation of just like dust and snowshoes left behind.
You hear a sound of screaming, Octavios, which kind of shocks you at first, and you jump. But what's even more shocking is how quickly Livy kicks off the snowshoes, and they just instantly break as she kicks them off, and is like, "Ah, what's going on?"
I made them to do that.
Again, another scream. It literally sounds like a man like screaming, not necessarily for help, but like in terror.
I'm all over that. I'd be following Livy.
Whoa, not too quick there. Sir Bear kind of stands up. I wouldn't be going chasing after that.
No?
And
Shakes his head. You know those coats you're wearing?
yeah,
Nice and warm and comfy, huh? Well, imagine what a beast would look like that would have such a fur. Yetis.
the Yeti is that what you're talking about?
Yes. What you're hearing right now, that sound of a man screaming to his death, that's the sound of a Yeti's cry. Said to be a bad omen. Usually, travelers and hunters believe that they let out these screams when there's an avalanche coming or they're warning. It's supposed to sound like the victims of people who have died. Many people
How
have been
large are
fooled.
these animals?
A Yeti? She's looking at you. How tall are you?
About 6'4".
Add another 4 feet to you.
Oh,
Very dangerous.
Livy, come back!
Oh, yeah, quite that far. You probably got to the tip of the embankment entrance, like maybe to like see out, and like would freeze and be like, "Wait, what?" Oh, hop back a little bit, maybe even bunker down and be like, "Okay, Cloak, do your thing." Snow. And she'll kind of peer out. Does she see anything?
Give me a perception check.
Sure thing. Let's do this, Livy. Perception. Where's the little? There it is. So it's a beautiful 19. You know, she totally is like down the snow.
Yeah. You look very, just barely. You see kind of high on this mountain that you're running parallel with, several hundred feet away. You don't even really know how you see it at first. Maybe it's just like a slow move, but you see a speck of white kind of shift across the gray mountain. And as you kind of like look at it for a moment, you do see that there's a figure standing there. Although the fact that you see this figure standing from this far away means that it must be a pretty big creature. And as you look at it, you hear another scream, and it does seem like it's emanating from that speck several hundred feet away. Belladora kind of walks up beside you. So, you think it's out there? Watching us?
She'll, I don't think it sees us. You know, and she's like standing there. She's like, "Get down!" But she's like, if in point, like I see it something. It doesn't look like it notices us. I think it's preoccupied. If you with the screams and poor soul. And we'll shimmy backwards and hopefully back in.
Yeah, so you guys wait a couple, like an hour to like short rest, eat, warm yourselves up, kind of kick off your boots from the snow that's gotten in them, ready yourself up. And then after an hour, you set out again onto the path. And for the most part, it is extremely an uneventful, although not very pleasant travel for the first day. As you follow this bloodstone that's kind of wrapping around this massive mountainside, you surprisingly don't see any feet or footprint. So you wonder like if this bloodstone is accurate, but it's really all you have to go off of, I guess. If you can do a survival check to try to track if anybody wants to. But it inevitably led the frost giants to you guys, so you would have no reason to believe why it wouldn't lead you back to Sirik. So unless anybody else wants to do anything, you're just going to continue to travel for most of the day. Does anyone want to accomplish anything while doing so? If not, then Octavios and Sunlit, as you're walking particularly close to a kind of this path takes you against the mountain, which is this very sharp, almost 90-degree angle cliff now that is about 300 feet in the air above you. You're kind of walking by now, and occasionally snowdrift kind of falls down and makes a loud noise hitting the ground. You're walking around. The two of you, as you look in the distance, see that there is some cat-like figures kind of watching you guys from above. They look like tigers almost, but completely white fur. And I rolled a passive perception for the party, and you guys are the ones that seen it.
Do they look like those ones we just fought?
No. Those are wolves that you fought. These look like more like lions.
Hmm.
Octavius would like to send and ask if you knew anything or had any experience running in with four-legged large cats like this in his past or in her past.
And she turns her head rather slowly towards Octavius and goes, "Are you being serious?"
I have never fought a mountain cat. I was wondering if possibly you have.
Well, no, I don't tend to fight cats, but have you fought every style of human?
Well, I don't know.
You don't realize what you just did?
What, figured that maybe you had experience with other kind of cats? Sorry about that. My mistake.
Can't you like speak me out to them or something?
I wasn't trying to say that. That's not where I was going. Oh!
Racist.
Yeah.
No, Sunlit, there's zero chance that you would know what these guys are.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But
if you guys pointed out to somebody else, though, Barrick and Belladoro would probably pipe on after you point them out that they're called Craig Cats, also known up here as the Hunter of Men.
how large are they? I mean, the size of just a regular like lion, or are they bigger than that even?
They're bigger. They're a large beast. As you kind of look at them, you see that they look like lion shaped to you, but it's because you're actually like hundreds of feet away. So yeah, they're large in size.
Okay. Is that again something we should avoid, Barrick?
Well, they normally won't just come and attack us when we're ready. They're more
Opportunist.
attack. Yeah, opportunist is the word, definitely. So they're a while away. They're definitely watching us though. But as long as we look like something that's not an easy snack, we should be fine.
Interesting. Yes, I do know a bit about the feline, but don't assume so, okay, Octavius?
My apologies, Sunlit. I thought I was just asking a companion about an enemy. I forgot that you would take that more personally. I'm sorry.
Your apologies accepted. So, Barrick, I guess we take the long way around again.
Yeah, that's no point in standing here. Like I said, as long as we don't look like an easy snack.
There are settlements in here on this mountain.
Is there any what? Sorry.
Are there any settlements?
No, not where we're heading.
Interesting.
This way, the closest thing, and he's kind of looking, is probably westward if I were to guess, maybe several days, 3 to 4 days. Iron Masters is kind of close, but it definitely isn't the way we're heading. We're heading to the Sea of Moving Ice.
Did you say Sea of Moving Ice?
Yep.
What is wrong with you people up here?
Just think about games we could play with it. It'd be like hopscotch.
You guys are kind of walking as it's going, and basically throughout the rest of the day, there's nothing really that happens, and you obviously see kind of things like that. You hear the Yeti cries a couple more times, but it becomes kind of second nature after a while. The long day's travel, nighttime approaches, and you guys have to set up camp.
Does it seem like it's getting any closer to us, the Yeti cry?
No.
Okay.
Nighttime comes quickly. I imagine that you guys set up a fire or something. How do you want to set up your camp really quickly?
Octavius will come out with the knowledge that it would be better if we dug a pit so that the wind was not hitting us, and that would be a good start for our campsite.
Okay.
Sir Barrick would agree, and he'd help you with that.
Really, once that ice caves actually tend to be warmer than you'd think.
So how are we going to do watches? I'll stay up for the first one, Sir Barrick says.
I should overlap a bit.
What's up, Octavius? I hear you volunteering.
I'll take second watch.
Second. That should put us through halfway through the night. 2 more. Belladora says, I need my beauty sleep. Sorry, guys.
I'll take the last.
All right. And then with that, the night kind of commences. The fire starts to go. You sit around the fire, enjoy your dinners. It gets quite cold as nighttime comes, more so than ever. Everyone give me a constitution check now as we are dropping into temperatures that even the Yeti coats and fire can't necessarily fight, but luckily it's at advantage because you did do a fire and a kind of ice windbreaker. So everyone do a constitution save at advantage.
I'd ask for a favor on the fact that I'm wearing 2 coats, but
How surprising. The girl from Tropical Island isn't doing so well with this.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, the tropical tiger kitty, unfortunately, is not enjoying this super sub-freezing temperature weather. And unfortunately, you get a point of exhaustion. But luckily, if you sleep it off through the night, or I guess actually you wouldn't, so you'd have to rest tomorrow and try to sleep it off. So yeah, you get a point of exhaustion for yourself, which for now is just disadvantage at ability checks.
Is there something you can give me in there?
Probably. I won't worry about it just yet, though. If it comes up, I'll try to figure it out. Okay. Other than that, is there anything else you guys want to do for the night before we continue on through the watches?
Yeah, Sunlight would like to walk a bit around. That's maybe where she gets colder. And see if she sees these cats.
Give me perception.
She's gonna use all her stealth. She's gonna do all that. She's actually taken those snowshoes.
Mm-hmm.
That the pair that is good, and has is using those. But again, she's being stealthy.
Okay.
To try to see if she can.
Disadvantage on your stealth check because in snowshoes, not necessarily the easiest thing, especially since you're definitely not used to them.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see how that goes for you. You're pretty stealthy. You might be able to roll high enough anyways.
It's kind of my thing.
Yeah. So even even though you're awkward with it, you're able to slowly go about it. And after a little bit of while, you get used to it. And with a 15, you're able to be pretty quiet Although you know that if it's a feline counterpart like yourself, they probably have some pretty high perception, but you're aware of that, so you're doing the utmost.
Absolutely.
And you're just looking for them? Give me a perception check.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I definitely want to see if want to see how they live. You know what I mean? It's something she's interested in.
Yep. Let's see what you wrote for that perception.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah. Luckily, though, it's enough to hear them at least, and they're in the distance. And what you hear is the sound of what seems like a baby animal kind of letting out a cry of distress. And give me an insight, actually, really quickly. We'll see if you can discern what happens next as a couple sounds go off. 14. What you hear is the sound of like a crying animal, a baby. And then you kind of listen to this, and then the cry of what seems like another animal, older, but the same species. So probably like a mother or a parent kind of crying back and looking for them. And you know this to be like a familiar tactic from the jungles. And basically what it seems like with your insight is that the cats have probably wounded a weaker animal and are basically trying to lure more food in to eat. So you hear like a baby goat or something crying, and then like a mother goat calling back. And inevitably, if you're just to kind of sit in the darkness, you don't know where they are, but you listen to this, and then a few moments pass, and you hear the cry of pain and the last life kind of drain out of that animal as you hear a roar momentarily, and presume that they trapped and probably killed that goat.
Yeah. She's impressed to know that they hunt similarly to the way we would. It's not. She feels instantaneously regretful of how upset she was with Octavius, because maybe his books are much more wise than she thought she was. That they are. And she goes back and apologizes and explains to him what she experienced, and that they are very similar to how we would handle things. It sounds like almost.
Hopefully, Octavius would be able to spend some time talking to Sunlit and just make his understanding of it more encompassed with her with her experience and with her knowledge.
Yeah, no, it's really neat. They have a cool moment together where they, start talking more friendly. She's trying to open up to the group. I mean, 100%.
Absolutely. As you're sitting around the fire, and Belladora kind of hears this, and she says, "Oh," it's kind of like feathers her eyes. I'm gonna get teary-eyed just listening to you guys. Open up to each other. This is something really special, don't you think, Warren?
Trying to sleep. Just roll his blankets around him a little bit more and dig himself a little bit further.
You're probably getting a little teary-eyed yourself hearing this. Don't want to see us cry. Don't want to let us see you cry, eh? That's okay.
No.
Your tough guy secret's kept with me. But good. You turn around. I guess if we're going to be opening up to each other, I feel like we kind of bonded today. That was a lot of fun. We seen probably a dragon's kill. We seen some yetis potentially, some crag cats. We're bonding. We're all becoming friends. I should probably maybe open up to you guys, since we're probably going to die.
We're already friends.
Saving this kid, quote unquote, saving. So I feel like I can be honest with you guys, and it's not something I normally do. I like to lie a lot. I think it makes life funner. But I'll be honest with you. What I said back there about saving the kid and doing the honorable thing, not necessarily so much worried about that. You see, I'm hired by an organization to keep watch on this kid. Seems that you guys aren't the only ones interested in this artist Simber. And let's just say that if Sirik goes missing, I'm probably not going to get a pay anytime soon. So yeah, there's that. I'm trying this honesty thing out. You guys are kind of opening up to each other, so I'm trying to open up to you. Just the more you
Who do you
know.
work for?
Well, they're an organization called the Harpers. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. Probably not. They're fairly secretive. It's kind of silly that I'm even telling you this. It's more like a kind of don't speak of them. First rule of Harpers is don't speak about Harpers kind of thing. I guess I'm already breaking it, but that's probably the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because it's so taboo to talk about it.
Well, Corey knows what that means, but Sunlight doesn't at all.
Yeah. She would explain to you that the Harpers are like this magic society of people that try to keep the magic or like powerful artifacts of magic and whatnot out of the wrong hands. And she would say that she too has heard that Artist Simber has a Ring of Winter, which is apparently a tremendously powerful magical ring that is known to try to sway people to the dark side, like basically corrupt them. And Artist Simber used to be a part of the Harpers, but he's went rogue. So we fear that the ring has corrupted his mind. And I was sent here to watch over Sirik to see if Artist would come back. But apparently he's actually kind of a dick and is not ever going to come back and see that kid. Poor kid. He's kind of nice. But yeah, there's that. So
I'm
the
curious
more you guys know.
timeline of events. Like, did he go? I'm guessing he went rogue after he met Aaron.
She would not necessarily know who Aaron is, obviously, but I imagine there would be like a talk around the fire where you kind of recap everything.
Yeah,
and,
yeah. Like, I remember Grandpa talking about that ring. It's
turns out that ring is potentially world ending. It's what these giants are looking for. It's what the Harpers are looking for. Everyone's looking for this ring, and no one can find Artist. I don't know for sure. I've never met the guy. He might be all right, but for whatever reason, he's very hard to find right now. Nobody, not even the most powerful diviners, seers, no one can find out where Artist is. So that's, if you're looking for him, probably troubling. Not to defeat the purpose. Now that I've dragged you out this far, hopefully you're still down to save Sirik with me. You know, because being a hero and doing what's right is what's important, right, folks?
Oh yeah. Again, I'm wondering if the Frost Giants might know of Hashnag, because that was another friend of Artist and my grandpa.
Yeah, she would tell you what she knows from Harshnag is he's not like most Frost Giants.
Well, yeah.
He's kind of actually shunned them off, so maybe I wouldn't count on it. But yeah, you keep looking for that. Good idea, she would say. You guys, I imagine, do you tell her why you're looking for Artists, or do you kind of keep that to yourselves? Because you just said Harshnag, so I'm assuming that you kind of spilled the beans on that.
Yeah, I would think that Livy would be fairly open, or at least kind of like, no, for us to find them to kind of figure out what's going on, maybe to like kind of stop, like, oh, we have an idea of what's going on, but we're hoping we'll be able to figure out how to stop this all. And
yes, I believe in you guys. You guys definitely seem like the saviors of the world to me. But first is the little steps, like saving that kid, which saves my paycheck, which
fulfills my grandpa's debt.
Yes, definitely think.
I
of
have no
grandpa.
worries about your motives. I'm just glad that we decided on the same quest.
Well, aren't we just a happy little group of adventurers? She smiles. Anyways, I feel so much better now that I've gotten that off my chest. Whew. Just lying all the time, sometimes it just builds up, you know? It gets stressful. I'm glad that I have some friends that I can vent to. I'm going to call it a night.
Me too.
About freaking time. I've been trying to sleep for an hour now.
Well, you know you like our stories, Warren.
Yeah. Bellador would make a pipe like, hey, maybe you should try casting that wand on yourself, Wando, and then good night.
Yeah.
All right, you guys call it a night. Octavios, your watch goes through without any issues. Same with Sir Barracks, and same with Sunlit. It's a pretty uneventful night. The howling winds keep you uncomfortably cold, but you're able to sleep through. Sunlit, you wake up with a little bit of exhaustion from the cold, a little bit probably frustrated by that, or just I don't know how you'd be feeling, but definitely a little bit of exhaustion. Everybody else manages to make it through without getting too cold, but you can definitely tell as you all wake up that Sunlit is very clearly out of her element and not handling the winter too well.
I should have snuggled with me last night, Sonny.
Immediately after.
I'll
sorry, Lauren.
Oh, is that weird? Actually, Livy would like honestly like want to know from Sunny. She's like, is that kind of weird? Like, do you guys pile together, or do you sleep separately, kind of like how we do, or?
Do we
Brings up a good point.
Does like the whole litter just kind of climb in bed together?
No. We live in our own separate domiciles, like I've seen you do.
Cool.
Octavius would go over to Sunlit and ask her, Sunlit, are you all right? Did you get a good night's rest?
No.
To the no.
This is unnaturally cold.
And then Octavius would look at her, and not knowing whether she needs it or not, he would, behind her back, without letting her know, he would try to cast Lesser Restoration on her just to see if it would make her feel better.
Okay. Wonder if that actually
I believe
works.
that takes away the point.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I'm just looking it up really quickly. Lesser restoration. You touch a creature, either one disease or condition afflicting it. Condition can be blinded, deafness, paralyzed, or poisoned. The condition can be. Doesn't say if it's just those specific four, because it does sound like it's just a condition. So I will say roll a religion really quickly to see if ill matter will let you endure this cold for her.
Absolutely. Especially after our conversation last night and the fact that we were able to get some things underneath our belts and we're starting to communicate more like friends in a group.
Yeah.
Octavius would do whatever he had to.
So an 8.
I'm not going to say anything.
Doesn't necessarily go off as well. I'm pretty sure that. Trying to think if I'm cheesing you. Does anyone agree or disagree that exhaustion should count? My thought.
I've seen people do it either way.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Oh, what the heck? You're spending a spell slot for it anyways, so it's a resource spent.
Yeah.
So yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah. The wording for that's really weird because it says a condition afflicting it, but then it goes and specifies 4 specific conditions.
Right.
So, I don't know. Either way, I'm good with it, especially since you spent a spell slot. So yeah, you suddenly just Octavius comes up behind you and kind of pats you on the back, asking you if you're okay. And for some reason, you think back to that moment that you guys shared talking to each other and feeling like you're kind of bonding with the party. And without you knowing it, you just feel that cold kind of slip away from you for a moment, and your exhaustion is cured before we even have to figure it out. So yeah, condition done. You guys head out for the day, and we'll kind of have like this montage of you guys traveling for the next day. Very similar. You travel for a whole entire day and sleep and are not bothered. You see that the crag cats follow you guys for a bit, but 2 days of travel and still no frost giants. It seems that strangely enough, apparently frost giants move a little quicker than you guys with their big legs. So day 2, no luck. But as you wake up in day 3, about 3 hours into the journey, you come across your first giant footprint. And as you look, you would see another one in front of it, and then another one. And as you look around, you would start to see that the snow has been packed down like little kind of or giant-sized potholes all around this snowy mountainside, as it seems like there's a lot of activity kind of around here.
Mm-hmm.
Sir Barrick would kind of call the party to a stop and be like, it appears we've picked up on their tracks. Or at least something big.
Should we not continue on and at full speed to see if we can catch up to them, or what's the best course of action here?
I like your vigor. I suppose if Tyr decides that today is the day that I die, then why not? Let's get going.
Onward.
You start to follow. Sorry, you guys just literally like bolting it, no cares, following the path.
Oh, if I...
Possibly not running, but still moving forward.
Yeah.
Slightly quickened pace, but not running.
All right, give me a perception check, everybody.
This includes you, Mary. Come on, let's go. Let's go.
Nice. 19 by Octavius. 13
I got
by
a
Summer.
19 as well, but for some reason it's not showing up.
Well,
Nice.
at 20 on Libby.
Not 20 from Livy. We got 19 from. So you guys all basically see this, even Sunny with a 13. You see, as you kind of come around this hillside that drops down into a snowy plateau, sitting around a massive kind of clearing are these 10. At first, you almost think like rocks, giant rocks, but then you realize that they're moving. And you would see that there's these 10 frost giants that have kind of made this makeshift encampment in this massive plateau that the mountain that you've been following kind of overlooks. They're about 300 feet away. In front of you, the slope kind of starts carrying downwards at a gradual pace, but quickly starts to get a little more steep towards the end of it. So you would wonder if you could traverse it as easily. And that drops down for about 80 feet is this gradual drop. Towards the western side, so we're going to say looking northward is where the giants are. So western, kind of sweeping around this plateau like a giant bowl, is a tree line that also kind of overlooks. And then towards the east is the mountain itself. But you see 300 feet away, these giants sitting down in the snow, kind of just taking a break. Belladora drops to the ground and kind of like, shh.
As
With Livy's nat 20, does she notice if Cyric's there?
that's why I was hoping that she'd be looking around, seeing if there's any sign of him or.
No, I mean, this.
Yeah, with a nat 20, yeah, good point. You would definitely see, and it's very hard to make out because Cyric's not the biggest person and you're 300 feet away. But you would see that there is like this, at first, like little sack kind of tied up, almost like a sleeping bag, kind of rolled up in some kind of bundle. But you would see that bundle is Cyric that has been like wrapped in some kind of giant cloth and tied up like a little Cyric burrito. And it's just thrown in the snow in the center of the giants.
Sticking out.
What's that?
Head sticking out.
Yeah, his head is sticking out, unfortunately. Or fortunately, I guess fortunately. And you would see the giants just kind of going around with their day. They're kind of like chopping at ice and building something. You don't really know what they're up to. It seems like they have like these ice bricks that they're fashioning something out of. And they're just kind of going around. One would pick up Cyric and kind of say something to him, you would presume, but you have no clue what's going on from this far away. And then kind of disregard him back to the ground, not necessarily throwing him, but definitely not being gentle about it. But yeah, he is inconveniently right in the center of the giant circle, or circle of giants kind of camping out. Well, Belladora kind of whispers, "We found Cyric and the giants.
Yeah.
Any plans? There's 10 of them, and we are about the size of their toes."
If we could pick them off one by one, that'd be nice. But
Yeah, nice. I remember how well
10.
remember how
though.
well fighting one of them went for us with optimal advantage on our side.
one without the others. No, wait, but yeah, that's Stop.
I have an idea.
Oh,
I have
We're
an
gonna have
idea.
this very, very
cannot
stealthy.
wait to hear this.
Okay. You said that there was a slant off to the east going down about 80 feet, right?
Yes.
All right. So, okay. Octavius speaks up to the group, the snow, and he says, listen, if I can run up there and get their attention, and then I'll use my shield as a sled, and I'll slide down the hill, maybe I can get them to follow me. You guys run in, grab Cyric, and then we'll meet somewhere. But we need a distraction. We can't fight all 10. We need to get them away from Cyric.
Right.
Sunny, can't you?
You realize if Cyric is
Sneaky.
that important that they're going to leave at least one, if not 2 or 3.
You guys should be able to deal with that.
Or we could work this much more
that
stealthily.
Libby just made, just like,
I'm not saying it's a good plan. I just said I had a plan.
I thought I was sneaking in, use my cloak, but that's probably more risky.
Sunny can be sneaky.
That is the thing I do there, Warndell.
You can wear her cloak, make it white, blend in with the snow.
That is true, Sonny.
Not a bad choice.
To what end?
We could do it at night.
Octavius can still
Well,
slide on his
I'm
slender.
curious what they're building down there.
But if we we're to do, I think we're onto something here. If I was to help myself into their village at nighttime with that fancy cloak you have, I might go unnoticed. I certainly could carry the boy back.
Yeah, you could. You can try and cover both of you up with it, but
What about you, Bellador? You seem to get around places very stealthily.
And it is your job.
And it is your boy, yeah.
That's you guys had me on that plan right until the point where you said I sneak in there. And you see, I like money, I like getting paid, but it doesn't do me a whole lot of good if I am crushed by a frost giant. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm down to help you guys.
I thought
But-
we were helping you, Bellador.
You know, you help me, I'm helping you. We're all helping. You see, this
Son,
is,
what if we put our plans together? While you're in town and you're about ready to grab Cyric, then there's a distraction so the giants aren't focused on you or the boy. But then we have to figure out a third step to the plan to make sure that, I could carry a sack over my shoulder so it looks like I have Cyric as I'm sliding down the hill, maybe to draw their attention. But then what happens to me when I hit the bottom of the hill? We need to figure out an end game here.
you hide in the snow or find some way to get covered ASAP.
What if you're all waiting with an ambush at the bottom of the hill?
Against
That'll give some
again,
of them
against,
time to get
against all these storm giants. I mean, sorry, frost giants. What if I'll be right back, and she's just going to walk off just a bit, and I'd like to roll perception to see if it looks like those cats or anything have followed us.
go ahead.
Hmm.
Come on, don't fuck me, dice. Thank you.
Ah,
24.
Yeah.
With a 24, you do not actually. I'll say that you do see the Craig cats. They are following you, but now they are considerably further back. You just barely glint them with a 24. I wasn't going to give it to you, but with a 24, you see that they are way back.
Okay.
Presumably staying away from this. They're intelligence creatures, and they probably know what's over here.
weeds.
And being opportunists, 10 frost giants is definitely not an opportunity for them.
Yeah.
Bellador is sitting back at the camp like, you guys are definitely onto something. A distraction is a good idea, but a distraction with one of us inevitably just gets 10-ish frost giants mad at one of us. And
Yes.
that's good for nobody. Like you said, in that city, we fought what? 1, 2? We fought one-on-one and barely, in an opportunity, like in a great scenario, we were barely able to beat one. If we just get all these guys all mad at us, they're going to swat us down.
Absolutely.
Libby's wondering if, like, she'd kind of look around, like, they're up in the mountain. There is that hill. Is there any cliff-esque ledges, maybe?
So, yeah, the mountain to the east side is obviously a ledges, like probably, but hundreds of feet away. There, if you're looking for to what regard, just so I can understand what you're going for, and I'll see if maybe there's something in there.
Because like she does have the incentive of like she wants to be able to try and talk to at least one of them, and so it's I can go in and ask my question, but getting out, I need to get out plan, and so it's like this grand idea of like if there was a cliff, like I can, if we're able to like I don't know, be able to get a rope secure or something, and if I just aim right off, I can grab that rope and fall over the edge or something and hope that they don't notice me, or if they go after me, they'll fall off and maybe to their death. But it's like this big grand kind of thing in her head where she's like, that sounds really risky too.
Yeah. Bellador is just kind of like looking at you and giving like the condescending Willy Wonka look. And just like, that is a wonderful idea, my dear. But I have a strange feeling that these frost giants don't really want to talk to us.
So, I have a question from you folk. Have you ever been in sand?
I played in the sandbox.
You know how, like, if you pile up a lot of sand on top of each other and then push it, a whole bunch of the sand falls down at once. Would that work the same way with snow?
Like an avalanche, I was thinking too.
I don't know what that word means, but does that mean a bunch of the snow falling at once?
Yes.
In a downward direction?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That might not be a bad idea.
But
Could
we
be a
have to get the
diversion.
boy out before the snow hits. Unless you wish to ride on the Octavius' shield as a sled as well.
No, that doesn't sound like a plan. My thought was that if we could use, it'd be very precision, but if we made the avalanche start and then they were to start to flee and we were there to capture the boy, I don't know, it's just avalanche, is what we said.
Mm-hmm.
At a game, Chris, with your description of the land, is there an actual cliff or mountain above the giants or just below them?
So you guys are coming from the south and towards so they're basically in this kind of like dropping down plateau, like picture, like it's just kind of like this almost bowl that they're sitting in that spans like hundreds of feet. Towards the east of this bowl like plateau, or plateau is probably the wrong word, sorry. That's probably what's confusing. Valley, I guess. Yeah, plateau is the reverse bowl. So yeah, my apologies for that. But to the east is a massive mountain that carries up for picture like Himalayan mountain, kind of like absolutely enormous mountainside to the east. To the west is a tree line, and basically this valley just kind of circles around this entire like 300-foot radius, and they're kind of just sitting down in the center of it, and it slopes down to about 80 feet. So towards your east, yes, there is an enormous mountain.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
No, it's a beautiful question. I don't know. These are all ideas. Belladora, it does kind of have to come from you. This is your mission.
I like where you guys are going. The avalanche is a good idea. I just worry that if we're not in the ideal situation that we bury the poor kid, that no one wins. We basically just came all this way to bury him in a bunch of snow and kill him.
So, do you think you can get the kid before the snow hits?
Sunny's the fastest of the group.
What if we're
He's
able,
also
like, what if we're able to sneak in and untie him? So, but leave him there and tell him what the plan is. Like, when you hear the boom or whatever, you jump out and run for it. And hopefully they'll be distracted by the avalanche. And I don't know.
So as you guys are kind of discussing plans, I imagine that you're just kind of like laying low and watching them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say some time starts to pass as you're just kind of surveying them and going over potential ideas. And do you guys have a certain plan you want to set into motion? As I'm going to say about an hour passes and you just watch them. And it looks like these giants are planning to set up for the night, although it's still pretty early in the day. They're like building like a little hut or something. It seems like that's what they're chunking out snow of ice for. They're building some kind of makeshift hut.
the hut means it'll be easier for us to sneak around, but harder for us to get Sirik out.
But will it? We could actually get Sirik out and then trap them in with their own structure.
That's what I was thinking as well.
We need to stop doing that, Warren. We're never on the same page.
All right. Well, it does sound like a good plan.
So what are we
There's
going
things that
with?
can go wrong.
Well, I think that we need to wait a bit and at least get a look inside the place before we were to do anything. And then come up with a plan of maybe trying to get the boy out and then destroying the structure so it falls on them.
Do you think we might have enough time? Like, what is this, a temporary setup, you think? Or maybe this would...
Oh, yeah. You doubt that they're building anything permanent just by what they're doing. It looks like you don't really know why, but it seems like they're just maybe building like even the similar thing to what you guys did to like break the wind.
Mhm.
Okay.
But on a much grander scale.
The direction that we followed them in, does it look like they're heading towards that ginormous...
Looking past this valley that you guys find yourself in, about a mile or so away, you would see that the snow starts to break and water and ice starts to form. And as you look at it, you see that these massive, like almost like land-sized chunks of ice are moving in some kind of current. And you would see that the sea of moving ice is that but less than 2 miles away from you guys now.
Oh, Jesus. So this is what you were talking about there, back, right?
Yes, sea of moving ice. Guess what it is? He'd say
ice.
It's the
Yeah.
sea of moving ice. That is right there.
Yeah, literally. It's just a sea and it has ice moving around in it. It's really spectacular. Very dangerous.
What's on the other side?
He would say not much is known. So that if you were to go, it kind of goes northwards, and basically north of this area is pretty much like uncharted land at this point. You guys are already in like uncharted areas. So like in terms of like Game of Thrones, picture like north of the wall, and then like this is even beyond like that. Like so, just like not a lot is known about it. And then if you were to go more westward, it does open up to eventually the Sea of Swords. But the Sea of Swords is an absolutely massive ocean. So
Yeah. And then the side that's Mexico. So yeah, okay.
So
Well,
the plan is then just to kind of watch them and wait for an opportunity to arise, and then once something that potentially happens, you guys want to start formulating a plan. Is that my understanding?
yeah, I think we should do that next session.
All right. Yeah, no, absolutely. I that's why I'm asking, is because I am planning on ending it. It's going a little bit later than I want to. So basically, what happens is an hour goes by and you're waiting and just watching them build, and it does seem like what they're doing is building kind of like a windbreaker. And basically, what it is this wind is swooping down and blowing large drifts of snow down from the mountainside. So if they weren't to build this, it would probably just like sweep over them and be a pain in the ass. So they're just building like a wall to block this snow drift. And as you guys are kind of watching this, sorry, I'm losing my voice here. I gotta take a drink of water. Sorry about that. As you guys are kind of watching this go on, waiting for an opportunity to arise, Belladora is just kind of like mentioning how she like just hopes that like some kind of like perfect distraction or something just cliche happens. And it's at that point, as you guys are waiting, an hour goes by, you hear a roar that just echoes across the valley. It cuts through the kind of quiet of you guys watching and just instantly fills your eardrums with the sound of this roar. You hear like the mountain almost like seemingly rumbles from the sound of this. Does anyone speak Draconic?
I don't believe so.
Nope.
Nobody. All right. No, not even you, Octavius?
No, I don't.
You wait and look around. You don't necessarily hear anything. And then you hear another screeching roar again. And then this time, the sound of just an enormous gust of wind. Like almost like a hurricane kind of whoosh suddenly. And then you hear Belladora say, well, I think we just got our distraction. You hear another roar, and landing on top of the cliff is an absolutely awe-inspiring, fear-inducing, white-scaled, terrifying, massive, ancient white dragon. It lands on the mountain peak just 300 feet away from the giants and looks down at them and speaks Draconic, which nobody understands except Belladora is listening intently, because apparently this woman, real life, like her character sheet, actually speaks a buttload of languages, and she does happen to understand Draconic. And she just kind of looks at you guys and says, get ready.
Okay.
And that is where we'll end it.
Perhaps.
Awesome.
All right. I literally am like losing my voice now, so I'm going to end it. Thanks for playing, guys. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for hanging out and watching, Wim. And we will schedule another game and commence this encounter. Took a little bit longer than I thought to get here, but that's okay. You guys did some great role playing today and had a lot of fun. So thanks for playing, guys. We'll end the broadcast and talk to you later.
Thank you.
Okey-doke.
Peace.